Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Railroader Academy. This is Railroaders Play Railroads Online, Double Heading 107. I'm your host, Casey,
I'm your co-host Nick.
and tonight we have a guest lecturer. We're super excited to have him in because I've never gotten to do double heading at my railroad. Please welcome Professor Hyce.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, great to have you. This is going to be a lot of fun. We loved hearing you talk about your time with 20 over on Crew Embrace Press, so we thought this was kind of perfect.
Yeah, for sure. It's double heading's a fun thing, and there's the right way and the wrong way to do it, and I've done both, so hopefully we'll be able to learn something here.
Well, hopefully we do it the right way, though. As we say, this is the Optimism Railroad, so if we do it the wrong way, we did it to teach you why it's the wrong way.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It, everything that appears to have gone wrong was planned and coordinated well in advance.
We rehearsed this on Thursday just to let you know if it does go wrong.
Exactly.
But anyway, we're headed out for the coal mine, so 90, why don't you come forward and we'll back down onto our train. It's currently split between two tracks cause it don't fit.
All right, I'm really unfamiliar with this railroad, so I guess I'll be a good railroader. How far should I expect to proceed?
Come ahead, 20 cars.
20 cars. Here we go.
And of course, those of you tuning into today's lesson, we encourage you to leave your comments, your questions
Can I
in the chat on Twitch. Um,
can I get the rest of me?
yeah, I was going to say, is there a reason that we're going without the
Oh.
tender?
That's not a usual daily inspection check that I'm still knuckled into my tender here.
Did you forget to check your drawbar pin?
I did.
Cotter key was missing.
Apparently. And apparently so is the large fillet on top that holds it in and prevents it falling out the bottom.
See, that was rehearsed to provide the early comedic relief. Pins in now.
Indeed, pinned in.
See, we're here to talk about double heading, but we're also talking about daily inspection.
And maybe
Yes.
some stuff about music too, because
Well, I'd
uh,
hope so.
yes.
But yeah, rule number one of double heading, if you don't have your drawbar pinned into your locomotive, you can't single head, let alone double head. So make sure you check those.
You can't get ahead in life.
Oh God, puns have started already.
Oh man.
Oh, it hurts.
I just want to make sure there's truth in advertising. That's all. That is all.
We advertise that?
Well, the truth in advertising of like for those who are tuning in first thing, they know what kind of ride they're in for.
I gotcha.
But yeah, we are really happy to have you on.
Whoa.
Oh wow. I should just not talk. 'Cause every
Rule
time I'm
number
talking,
two, don't make your tender do a kickflip on a grade crossing for unknown reasons.
Oh, that's the new access road we put in when we redid
You
our
know,
yard recently.
Is this one we pay in a clap?
Carolyn derailed in that crossing, putting that engine in there. So maybe the crossing, not a user error.
I think the crossing's out of service. Everyone okay with
Yeah.
that? We'll get
Yeah.
MOW to come out and fix
I'm-
it later this week.
I'm stuck in the tender at the moment, so
Oh well, he's been crushed. So let's see. So far, two human factored incidents, one FRA reportable derailment, and potential fatality. This going well so far.
Is this where you make the pee in a cup joke?
I think I already did, but I don't know.
Oh wait, how did that? What?
yeah. Jeff Gordon, fan 2490 is or 2498 is asking, will Heist have a derail count for this stream as well?
Well, I guess it's already won.
Yes, he did mark up the one, so we're good. We can rely on Jeff Gordon.
Jeff is
Jr.
keeping
to
he's
keep us
keeping count
honest.
for us.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
on chat keep count. I'm not in control of the stream, so
Ah.
I can't keep my counters going.
All right, 2 feet.
But yes, what I was
You're coming ahead, engine and a half.
Engine and a half. Here we go.
gonna say, it's so good to have you on Heist. You and I mean, this feels like such a cliche celebrity thing to say, but we go back. Like we
We
go
d-
back
we
to the
do.
OG days of online railroad community, you could say. Like when we were in
Indeed.
our teens and we'd connect through Skype, you know, way before you had your Discords, your TikToks,
Al-
however else the hip young folk are connected. We did it through Skype.
We did it through Skype. Yeah. There's a reason you'll note that my YouTube channel started in 2006. Yeah, and there's like no videos since earlier than maybe 2011. There's a reason for that. Ugh.
That was
Just
so that
remember, we were all cringy foamers at one point in our lives. I'm
Oh
pretty
God,
sure.
yeah. I,
well
I, I have some hidden stuff.
we could comment on Luke's full bucket nears videos and
Oh yeah.
Brian's Bridgeline videos. I mean, man, they if y'all were there for like 2007, 2008 YouTuber, railroad YouTuber comments, YouTuber content, uh, you were missing out.
It was
But
a it
you're
was a
not
whole
missing.
renaissance of people attempting to make Thomas the Tank Engine, but digitally or something.
And
But
to
yeah.
be, you know, to inject a little bit of sincerity, for me growing up, and maybe this was your case as well, and you could talk to this more. Um, but for me, I grew up in an area with not a lot of rail fans my age, so being able to hook into this kind of network that we had, where there were like a dozen of us that connected online and could talk about train stuff, was kind of revolutionary in a way for me.
You're
Oh,
clear back 20,
absolutely.
by the way.
Back 20. We'll get out of the way.
Or would you say that was the case for you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, for me, my granddad was my best friend when I was a kid. He developed one of the first model train sound systems, the PFM and PBL sound systems, and
Oh,
so we were always talking trains, doing train stuff, whatever. And when he passed away early because of lung cancer, when I was almost 10, I mean, I didn't have anyone, and it was my whole world. And then, I kind of leaned into the internet and found forums and found the YouTube stuff, and yeah, I mean, it was really good because it was good to know that there were people out there that loved what I do, or what I did, who were my age too, and I think it was really important for me in that era. So yeah, 1,000%.
mm-hmm.
I think.
Are
Good.
you guys on the right track?
Yes,
The
that's
coal
the right
train on.
track.
That is? Okay.
Wait, no, we're grabbing.
No, they're on.
We have empties. We have setouts.
Okay.
Yeah, you got
So-
like 3 cars there. Heist.
3.
One
1
halfer
half
truck
truck.
pin. All right, I'm gonna start kicking off handbrakes. You can start creeping ahead. I think there's a engine
Okay.
fouling the switch up there.
Hey, head, don't run into the cookie.
I am not fouling the switch, and I am on the crossing that I just fixed. The crossing back in service.
Oh, look at that. MOW is quick here.
It's always handy when they show up quickly.
Right?
Yes.
I usually had to go through several layers of management in BNSF to get MOW to come to the Roundhouse because they saw it was from the Roundhouse and they went, "That's all accepted track." Meanwhile, we had a locomotive attempting to fall into a turntable pit, but
See, I was short line railroad, so I'd be brakeman, then have to go out and drill holes and put in new bolts that I
yes.
found while going out.
You are the MOW crew. You are the everything. Congratulations.
Until the track got bad enough where it was like, oh, hey, we now have state grant money and can get the track brought back up to class 3.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah, there we go. At least I don't have to do it now.
Okay, so the cookies clear the switch. How far ahead are we taking this?
We're going ahead. You got like 3 cars to that next, not the switch you're going over, the one ahead in front of that.
Okay.
We gotta clear that, then shove back onto our train.
Okay, so get the train past this next converging switch. Got
Yeah, once you go over that, you got 9 cars to a stop.
10-4. 9 cars to stop past the switch. Look at these good car counts. That was my favorite inside joke memory from running the 20 at the Cumbres and Toltec was that was the first time I got to run on a proper railroad, right? I've run a million times at the museum, I've gotten to try out every train handling technique in the book, just about, because you get to run over the same railroad over and over and over and
4.
over and over again, right? 4. And so I was all nervous getting up in the cab, like, okay, I've got a real railroad. I don't know what's going to go on, what's going to do. And they
1.
had me pull up for a photo stop. And I guess the photographers couldn't make up their mind on what
Far
they
enough.
wanted. Far enough. We've got the brake on up here. It'll eventually stop.
Oh, I'll grab a handbrake back here.
All right, bringing him back.
Yep, you're clear back. 15 to a hook.
15 to a hook. Yeah, they I get in the cab, but the first thing I get told is, hey, we're going to pull up for a photo stop. I only need like a couple car lengths. And so they give me like 5, keeping the train stretched out. I got the brakes doing what they're doing. 4 cars, 3 cars, 2 cars walking me in. They get to 1 car, and then it's like, okay, I'm waiting for the half. And then he goes, 1/4 mile. And I was like, what?
Oh. Oh.
That's not a car count. That's a 1/4 mile. So I kicked off my set and ripped it open, and we went down the railroad because they decided they wanted a different spot. But it was really funny for, you're getting the counts from the pilot, from the brakeman over the radio.
Jeez.
2, 1, 1/4 mile.
Okay, okay, here we go. Highball.
I had that happen once where conductors counting down
6 cars to
passenger
a
car
stop.
legs.
6.
So they were doing cars, and then when they were supposed to get to 20 feet, they said 20 cars.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, it was obvious. Like, it was a situation in which nobody was mistaking what that meant, but it was just humorous to think that if that had been obeyed, that
That's why in the rule book
Wow.
it says, if you do not understand the
car.
communication, stop. 1 car.
Or the whole, less than, you travel half the distance and you haven't heard.
Yes, both of those rules.
Yeah.
Truck length to go.
Truck length to go.
So
And pins in.
Pins in.
Alright, I'm gonna start kicking off handbrakes. What do you got, Squiggy?
train 99 to dispatch. We're ready to depart at your discretion. And also, thunderstorm is blowing over me right now. So, and my lights already flickered once. So I may or may not lose power.
Well, if you lose power, send us a text message and we'll go catch the train.
Yep.
99, you have permission to depart.
All right.
That would not be good.
Railroad is yours. You'll probably be getting a train order at some point.
Okay.
And for those of you watching at home, we run the railroad on what's known as standard code. So timetable and train order is the rules of the road. So
yes, you are.
We use train orders to just schedule our meets as needed, and we verbally say, "Hey, the semaphores are up at this train order station. Hoop up your orders, and send them out through Discord."
We should probably even take a step further back and say that you are watching us on the Ahsokan, Mohonk, and Western here in Railroads Online, a virtual fictional railroad with complete operating rules, scheduled trains, and we use it as a teaching tool for how some of the real railroads did it and or continue to do it.
The fact that people are taking Railroads Online and doing this level of teaching or this level of operation continuously blows my mind and brings me so much joy. It's really, really cool.
It brings us a lot of joy. I mean, like, I grew up on standard code on the short line I worked on. Probably one of the last in the nation that still used it. And when I was forced to switch to NORAC, I was very upset, and a lot of us were. So being able to, like, pull out my old rulebook and adapt it for the game is amazing. And it's something we've talked about before on stream, is how, as an engineer, running in the game, I feel like I can look out and judge my speed like I would with the real thing. Like, the sense of scale is just so well done that it becomes an excellent teaching agent. And we have a lot of streams planned where we talk about this kind of stuff and how it can maybe integrate with attracting more people to the rail preservation industry.
Mm.
I
And
have
that
to
was
agree. 'Cause, sorry, I only ever learned NORAC, so I am literally learning standard code with you guys now, and it's really cool to be able to have people that know what they're doing, can give the instruction in a virtual setting where I don't have to worry about seriously causing millions of dollars worth of damage. But it is definitely it's this setup, like CJ just said, she can look down and count ties and kind of judge speed. Like, to be able to learn a little bit of that for somebody that never got to do that is pretty cool.
there are times when I find myself looking at a piece of technology or seeing something and I go, this is a game changer. I remember the first time I saw a drone used to film a train. It was 425 going over viaduct, and I saw that video and I said, "This is a game changer. Drones are going to become huge." And sure enough, they did. And I felt similarly when I first started to play this game that there's been plenty of sims, and they all have their place. But what this one is achieving is a whole other step in the evolution of the field as a whole. And that's something we talked about in our conversation, Heist, with the other developers on the podcast. The educational benefits of this from a historical standpoint, operation standpoint, technology standpoint, are vast.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just really really cool, and I agree with you guys. It's great to see more people and younger people get into the rail preservation side of things because although there are a surprising amount, like us here, but we always need more hands, and more hands makes less work. And when you're talking about a lot of volunteer outfits and trying to restore and make all the parts yourself, well, it takes a lot of hands.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so we should probably get out of here because I believe we're holding up a 36 here. Uh, we've got a 26 car train, flat railroad, all the way out the plateau where we pick up our helper. As an engineer, and as when we have permission to depart, what are you thinking about with a train of size?
I'm used to running around in a circle with 10 cars. No, the usually, I mean, typically we would have performed a terminal air brake test here once we made up the train, but obviously we were not in that era. So, you want to make sure that everything's all lined up, all the pins are in, everything's happy, everything did a good roll by, hopefully, at the very least. And you want to make very small adjustments and get things rolling nice and smooth. Try and keep it in tension. Yeah, it's flat railroad, but that doesn't mean you want to be banging the train around either. So,
All right. Well,
uh,
as we're departing, what's tension?
tension is making sure that you have a spread out between each car individually. So you can either have your knuckles, or in this case, your links and pins, either in tension or compression. Tension is where they're stretched out, so the cars are as far away from each other as they can. Compression is where they're right up against each other. The pushing faces have come up tight against each other, so they're closer together. And so when the locomotive accelerates and you're on flat railroad, if the cars were previously in compression, you'll slowly pull them one by one into tension, which can result in broken links. But if you take it very slowly out as you're starting to leave, you can gather the cars into tension one by one easily. And then once you have the whole train behind you, then you can really start to properly apply the power. And so that's really, for me, the core of train handling is really about managing tension and compression and making sure you don't change too quickly between one or the other. And in Railroads Online, when we've just got an air brake on the locomotive, it's really, really easy to accidentally go into compression, which is how you get accidental derailments. You knock your conductor on his face. Yeah, all that good stuff. So you try to avoid it.
Small movements. You be
Small
small
movements,
movements
be
with the
gentle.
throttle, small movements with the brake. Let everything kind of propagate and sit.
Yep, we've got a whole railroad to let it happen ahead of us. We're not a race car. We're not trying to make the next corner exactly perfect. We're trying to be nice and smooth and easy because, speaking from experience, I was trying to learn about a technique that I'd been taught with a superheated steam engine, 491. where if you bring the Johnson bar close enough to center, you can start to charge up steam in the superheater units. And then when you need that extra power, you can click the bar down 1 or 2 notches, and you'll get that extra steam right away without losing any speed. And I decided to test it out on not enough of a hill, and I almost put our conductor on his butt. So, yeah, you don't want to make sudden movements. Anyways,
And
we've monologued a fair bit here. Are we ready to head out?
Yeah, we have permission to depart. I'm gonna run ahead and check switches.
and for those of you wanting to follow our journey, not just by watching the stream, but also seeing where we are on the map on this wonderful railroad, on Twitch, you can type !map, and it will take you to a page that shows you all of the wonderful locations here on the AM&W. Right now, we are departing Hill Valley Yard, which is the dead center of the map. And we are headed toward the Plateau Yard, which is in the northeast corner of the world.
Markers in your caboose for you.
Oh, thank you.
We're officially we don't have class lamps up front. That's my bad. We're not a train yet.
Oh, but we're a scheduled train, so we don't need them.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, look at that. I've always
Standard
ended
code.
up being an extra. I've never been a scheduled train. I've always been an extra, so I've always had class lamps.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
We've at our railroad, cause of COVID times, we annulled our timetable and we're running as extras. So we broke out our white flags for the last 2 years. It was quite a bit of fun, getting to play with lamps and flags.
When we run the Polar Express at the museum, we tend to put the lamps on green just for the sake of Christmas theme, and we get plenty of questions from rail enthusiasts saying, "So which section are you following? Are you the first or the second, or you're all of them at once because you're doing laps?"
You're the fourth.
Something like that.
I just noticed, forgive me for being that nerd and that guy, but I'm realizing the American flags on the pilot have 50 stars.
They're
I
not
don't-
period accurate.
Yep.
We're aware.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. I will transition from my nerdism to a question from the crazy monkey. This sounds like a good heist question. What's something that someone that knows nothing about railroads should know about railroads online before they look into getting it?
I would say that the railroads online specifically that you should know is not just about running trains. It's about the economy side of it and building a railroad. And I think that's something that a lot of people who play other train simulators or have heard of the game don't understand right away, is that you start off with nothing and you need to build your network or download one from Minisword, which is very convenient. But that's third-party tools, of course. So you need to build the right-of-way first, and you got to realize that railroads and trains don't make fast changes, as we talked about, as we're making train handling moves, but they also don't make fast changes in terms of what the track does, what the railroad does. Any curve is gentle into sharp. Any vertical curve, so changing your elevation, changing your gradient, is also done smoothly, right? So there's a lot of folks who've had issues when they first played the game. They don't know about railroads. They come in and then they lay 10% grades everywhere, and they wonder why they can't pull any freight. And it's because railroads really, really need that broad, gentle, easy touch to make sure that things of this mass can actually handle the way that they need to.
I think that's the perfect answer. I was gonna say like, no, you don't need to know anything about railroads to play the game, which is true, but that's a much better description of how the game's played.
Yeah, you don't need to know anything about railroads, but you'll have a lot more success and a lot of less frustration with learning and dealing with the trackling mechanics, which we're working on, asterisk, unless you know a couple things about how railroads are set up and the concepts behind gentle curvature, gentle gradients.
So wonderful that you've really exploded in terms of the content that you're producing on your own YouTube channel to be able to go over some of these basic to advanced concepts because it is leading to people having all these sorts of questions about how does this work? Why is this way? How do steam locomotives work video with all the different tiers of difficulty. Your recent one about how tracks are designed. I think that it shows that now you're stoking the fires of curiosity, but you're also providing your own take and your own content to be able to answer that, and it handshakes really well with the game.
Oh, thank you. I've been loving making that stuff. The 101 kind of class series that I've been doing, if they take a lot of time to do, and with my real job and everything, and doing what I do with Railroads Online and playing in a band, and let's add more to the list, shall we? It's really challenging to make them. I do hope that I can make them more often coming up because I made the first one just because I realized I had a lot of people that came over to my channel just because they liked Railroads Online and I was affiliated with it, but they didn't really know anything about steam locomotives. And I realized I just throw out this jargon that is secondhand to me that I realized a lot of these folks have no clue what it was about. So I made the Steam 101 video and I had no idea it was going to be that popular. And that was surprising and wonderful to me. And then I realized that there's kind of this, not everyone in the industry is this way, but there's kind of a stigma with the industry of railroaders that it's, you gotta come to the railroad, be a railroader, and be a tough guy to come learn this stuff. And if you looked it up on the internet, you're just a dumb foamer and you don't deserve to know anything and your knowledge is invalid. And I realized that, I had heard that forever and had that gate kept to me when I worked at BNSF and everything. And I realized that there's a bunch of people out there that want this knowledge and think it would be great to have. So I don't know it all by far. In fact, I'm always learning more and more how I know nothing. But I figured I'd share what I do have in the way that I can. So hopefully I can help teach people and let them learn some of the inside stuff that a lot of people don't seem too fond of sharing, or sharing in a way that's easy to understand. So
It's
that's been my kind of goal lately.
it's exactly how we came up with doing this. Is Nick and I were sitting around one night playing this kind of BSing and realizing, like, you know what, like this would be a great tool to be able to talk about how railroads function from the short line perspective.
And you are so on the money with regards to the gatekeeping, the knowledge gatekeeping. And we've talked about it in past streams before that at times it feels like there's this knowledge economy within rail fandom and rail preservation of if you know it then great, but if you don't know it, how dare you not know it, but also good luck trying to find it. And I think what we're hoping to do on the show and what you're certainly doing in your videos is give people a way that they can ask questions and not feel stupid for needing to ask them.
Yeah.
We're all here to learn. We all have much to learn, regardless of what stage we're at. And to ask questions is to be celebrated. And I think that the more avenues that we can collectively open to make people feel comfortable about asking questions and not like, oh, how dare you don't know how a steam dome works, is important. And to Titanic Maniac, who asks what a foamer is, because you use that word, Hyce. Foamer is a typically derogatory term used to describe a rail fan, because rail fans foam at the mouth when they see something that excites them. Somewhere as a badge of pride, but it's usually used in a derogatory manner.
Yep. And I've seen it thrown around derogatorily, but I'm always of the firm opinion that I get stupidly excited by this stuff. I know I'm a foamer. I don't know if I wear it as a badge of pride. When I was at BNSF, I always told them I'm not into the diesel locomotives. I'm a steam engine guy. That's why I go and take vacation and go play with steam engines. Yes, I'm crazy, but it's not about the diesels, and they seem to understand it, I guess. But anyway.
Well, I imagine they must have enough experience with knowing other rail fans. There's a lot of rail fans in the industry.
I was going to be a good pilot and let you know that we're coming up on a grade crossing, but you seem to have figured that out for yourself.
I saw it off in the distance and was like, well, I know what to do here. There's no whistle sign, but I can give 15 seconds of warning.
And
It's a common
We-
phrase on my channel, at least, that we joke about, that the line from The Incredibles about, "You got me monologuing, you sly dog." Yeah, that is me and why I derail or why I mess up. But that time managed to do it, multitasking here. So
we end up monologuing quite a fair bit on here as well, and understand that problem to a T.
Oh yes. I as we are coming through Pratt's Cut at the present moment, named after the great great grandfather of uh, a guy by the last name of Pratt, who is a Star Lord in this day and age. But his great great grandfather was a Navi. Got injured in a blasting accident, and so took up a career as a comedian at one of the local saloons. Hence Pratt's Cut.
that's neat. I love the little depot there with the little siding and the grade crossing.
That
I love those little details, seeing that on people's worlds, and it just makes me want to see us put more buildings in the game, because it's like the amount of stuff people have made just with the locomotive shed that look like a more detailed structure just by finding new ways to put them together with, bridge pieces or whatever else interspersed within. So cool. I love to see it.
that is our town of Meh. It started out small, but it has slowly been growing.
It is still meh, but meh isn't really that meh.
No, it's not really that
Yeah,
meh.
was that the first station I built?
I think Ahsoken was the first station we built.
No, Ahsoka was the after I got confident station.
So maybe Meh was the
Yeah,
first
but
one.
I think of it because we talked about the need for having something intermediary that could have some sort of purpose outside of the big industries. Maverick CIV, one thing that does annoy me is the fact that you get those power steam people that obsess over the rail locomotives while ignoring the old road locomotives. Case 150 when.
Hey now, I resemble that. Fun fact about me, of course I go by Hyce on all the internets these days, but open that my real last name is Huber. My great grandfather founded the Huber Manufacturing Company that produced a very particular weird oddball kind of steam traction engine with the well known for having the engine backwards and the weird return flue boiler. So that's directly in my lineage. That's directly my great grandfather. So I'm a big fan of
Ooh.
steam traction power as well.
Fun facts. The steam traction world is one that I've yet to really break into. Out here we have
we know
rough
some
and, we have
people.
rough and tumble in Pennsylvania that every year I always get invites to it, but it's always during like the busiest part of steam season, and it's like, well, I could go run the steam engine today, or I could go see steam tractors do crazy things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy call. So fun fact, and no, you can't ask me about it. No big boys. Uh, I have almost seen the 4014 run 3 times, and every time I had a different engagement with Steam that I had to do. Every time. Most recently, it came back to Denver while I was running the 20 on the Cumberson Toltec, and it's like, well, I'm a lot closer than I normally am, but still not going to see it.
Nick, you want to run ahead and get the Class 70 that's over at Plateau fired up?
Sure can.
And get onto the north end of the long siding, clear of the crossover.
Mm-hmm. Can do.
I've also heard about Arcadia Steam Show in Maryland. I have friends that go to that too with their tractor, and I have gotten invites to it, and it's all about timing.
Train 300 to dispatch over.
Go ahead, 300.
We have pulled up to the newly installed telephone booth at the north end of the yard.
Telegraph booth?
I don't know. It's something. It's a booth in which you make calls.
Artist.
And we are ready to proceed north if there is clear track available to do so.
You have the railroad north to... no, you need a train order.
Oh, that's why I call on dispatcher.
All right, I gotta quick type up a train order here.
I was gonna say, when they said it was a newly installed booth, I was wondering if George Carlin walked out with the guitar.
No, it's a sand tower.
Did you install a
Strange
sand
things
tower
are
as a
afoot at the
as a
Circle K.
telephone booth?
Yeah.
Things are afoot at the Circle K. Oh my god.
You will. I mean, I'm sure you've seen many a thing, Hyce, and you've seen it in many a server, but you will see things in this server that you have not seen before. I can guarantee it.
You will see things on the server you cannot unsee.
Also
Oh
true.
boy.
All of these. And you
Mostly
too,
critical
if you are new to joining us here on Railroaders Play Railroads Online, you will see them too.
You should see the Schmelter complex.
The Schmelter
Yes, the
complex is
Schmelter
very
Going
cool.
right by.
As we're
Gonna
coming,
pass it momentarily.
yeah, we'll be able to see it as we come across the double dev bridges.
Notice it's Schmelter. SCH.
Yes.
The Schmelter.
Uh-huh.
She keeps leaving me alone in the server.
No, it is getting a little slideshowy. I think I'm getting some. My internet likes to throttle me, and I think I'm getting throttled right now.
Not the good kind of throttle, the bad kind of
No,
throttle.
no, the bad kind of throttle.
There's a. Never mind.
Okay. And you said line for lawn siding?
Yes, and bring the Class 70. You know the pocket track on the north end of the long siding, towards the
Yep.
iron ore mine. You can hole up up there.
Doke. I see a Class 70 currently being used. Oh, the one that's in the shed. Got it.
Yeah, if it says Schmeltopolis, it's the wrong one.
No, it's not Schmaltopolis.
Forgot I even did that.
Alright, train order is written. It's hard to be a streamer and the dispatcher all at the same time,
It is challenging. Can be.
especially writing train orders. Because you have to think about what you're doing. You have to think about the content you're putting in there. Uh, really
I
gotta
like
figure
the
out.
alignment your guys' railroad is taken through here. It's pretty.
Yeah,
Bridge
it's-
is nice.
The bridge is great. It's flat. It's completely flat from Freight Depot all the way over. So there's 0 hills to contend with.
That's the way the railroad would like it. It's not very narrow gauge authentic, but if they could have done it this way, they would have.
My original route went down the hill, through the smelter, and then back up the smelter alignment that we're passing. And as soon as the weights, the physics got realistic, it was like, all right, you need a double head in both directions, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. Is there a better way of doing this? Which is the railroad way of why pay another crew.
Precisely.
Train 99 is approaching Plateau Station.
All right, copy that. You're coming in on the main. We're coming in on the long siding.
All
So
right.
we'll be seeing you shortly.
Yep. I'll be stopped at the depot and
So, License 69 asks, so it's American narrow gauge, exactly 3 foot. So yes, Railroads Online, the narrow gauge represented in this game is 3 foot, although and 3 foot is the most common narrow gauge in the U.S. That said, you can find 2 foot, you can find 2.5 foot, you can find 3.5 foot. So there are a few different types of narrow gauge. But yes, this is 3 foot.
Anything less than 56.5 is technically narrow gauge, so
Though I think, Hyce, you and I both know someone who would disagree with that statement, and that anything that's 3 foot gauge is standard gauge, anything that's 4 feet 8.5 inches is broad gauge, and 2 foot is narrow gauge.
I know many individuals that have that opinion.
What
Speaking as someone who's primarily operated on 3 foot gauge, that joke gets thrown around a lot.
That is one that I have heard come out of Lynn's mouth quite often.
Oh, Dr. Modanger.
Yes.
What does that make the Erie in the 1870s?
excessive gauge. I don't know.
Gigantic. A Brunel wannabe?
Extremely wide gauge.
Very wide gauge.
Very wide gauge.
I hope Lynn is enjoying his retirement, continuing to work on trains at the Broad Top. I almost worked for Lynn back in the day. When I was leaving college, I had job offers from the Berg and from BNSF, and I'm too much of a West Coast guy to have committed out there because I didn't think that the Amish were going to appreciate my rock and roll concerts. So
I don't. Have you seen those Amish videos on YouTube? They might have.
Which means you didn't go far enough east.
are we approaching the siding here?
We are. I'm unstuck.
So, to the owner / operator of Winnipesaukee, I think you're going the wrong way. I think you want to be going back, because we want to put in the pocket track.
Huh. And Heist, we're gonna bring it down to a crawl here. A car that we're supposed to be picking up is set out in a weird spot
Gotcha.
and
Bring it
blocked
to a
in.
crawl.
And
So
we got to get the helper out of the way before you guys come in.
yeah, bring it to a stop and as soon as possible.
Wait, nope, still going the wrong way.
I've got brakes on all the way.
Who is in the Winnipesaukee anyway?
That may be BMAC or Pilot over in in one of the switching channels.
That's the one you wanted, right?
Yes, it is. Is this the
Oh.
point where we send out a flagman with some fusees and torpedoes?
Yeah,
think
because
so.
I don't.
We need to protect the train.
I think. Yeah. I'll pop down there for a second.
Yeah, you want to
Yeah,
pop down and bug 'em?
Yes.
I've got a good 15 cars still back on the main. Not that I can see all of them, but we're not in the clear.
Well, it's okay. As dispatcher, I know that there's a train order out that is preventing the train following us from getting here.
Oh, that's,
Though I
that's
think
good.
technically I'm not supposed to know that because I'm also the conductor.
Ditchman or brakes batch.
Brake patch. Nice.
I think I'm gonna create that as a role in the Discord.
I don't know why, but the first thing that comes to my mind, because I do a lot of cooking, is spatchcocking a turkey or a chicken. So now you're, yeah.
The first step is you break spatch, where you break the spine. Yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
you cut down the middle and break the spine open. You brake spatch it.
I wasn't sure which guys or which railroad timetable you based your timetable off of, but I assumed that you were including the U.S. narrow gauge Denver and Rio Grande Western rules of 2 longs and a short in approach of a meeting point. So I gave you
I
that
think that
earlier.
was standard. That's because that
Is
was
that
in
standard?
my book's based off the Pensy book because that's what my railroad used when I was learning, and
Well, there you go.
that's what we used approaching a meet point.
Okay,
was
good.
also-
There's most of them are the same, but there are some that are weirdly different that I've found East Coast to West Coast before. So
Yeah, we have the 3 short when running to call for a station stop. I think you guys are 4 or
we have-
something like that.
no, we have 3. You do 1 long to call for what the conductor wants you to do or the brakeman wants you to do. 3 is stop, 2 is proceed.
You
Oh.
forgot to.
I
Rich.
binned it.
Uh-oh.
Who's doing the derail counter in chat?
Be in the cup.
That was Jeff Gordon fan.
You've leaned it over.
Where are
like
we
a
putting
kickstand.
this?
I don't know. I'm just carrying this somewhere. Oh, you
I
have it.
got it.
Yeah, that works right there.
Cool.
Wait, no, I have it. What? Oh boy, we're doing great tonight, folks.
Yeah.
I swear we're sober.
By the way,
General Rule G is still in effect, right?
Yes, dinner rule G is still in effect. Well, at this point, we're holding up the passenger train, so we should probably grab our pickup and get out of here quick. You want to tie on a handbrake and pin off from those empty stake flats and come ahead to clear the switch ahead of you?
Sure. We're not in the clear to the rear, but
Yeah, we're gonna be a little wild
Where are
about
we
this.
going?
we'll
I
figure
know
that
that.
out.
Where are we going?
We're going to the siding at Pratt's Cut, just up ahead. We're passing Mad now, so
Okay.
next siding we're definitely
We got a
going.
handbrake on the stakes, and I'm coming ahead to the switch.
So yeah, Train 99 was about to ask if I was clear to depart, but
Yeah, you are not clear to depart. The yard is being tied up.
gotcha.
So you've mentioned this a few times, but I feel like it's worth connecting the dots. Did you get a career with BNSF? What was your road to that?
Okay.
Trying to apply
Okay.
for jobs in college and then realizing that I never really went for any internships midway through in my engineering career, which if any of you are listening and you're in college pursuing an engineering degree, the internships are more important than what college you went to and how much you scored or what your grades were. So go get an internship, go get some experience
Yes.
and doing the networking thing. That is absolutely super important. So I realized that I had trains in my title, and right, I'd done all the museum stuff the whole time I was out there, and I had all that work experience and had credible engineering experience there. But it was kind of hard to find any foot in the door positions with the railroads except for BNSF, which had a management trainee position, direct hire out of college, and they said mechanical engineering, and what they meant was mechanical shop department, and they wanted someone who understood what a diesel engine was. So, yeah. So I ended up being a management trainee, and then about 6 months in, became mechanical foreman one, which is someone who oversees the operation of a shop. So, yeah, that was
Ahead.
an adventure. Ahead. But yeah, I was shop foreman, one of 6 at the Inner Bay Locomotive Facility out of Seattle. And is
Uh,
that thing still a
it's
physics
beached.
glitch?
It's.
Oh no,
It's getting there. You're
we're
getting there. It'll
there. We
yeah.
There
go.
we go.
It did its
It's
thing.
fine. It's fine.
That doesn't count as a derail because we found it like that.
It counts as a re-rail. In fact, it should remove one.
We'll take one off the count.
Yes,
Mark it
minus
up.
1.
But
We're
yeah,
making the world a better place.
the mechanical foreman job is essentially being being a leader, a manager, boss, if you will, overseeing issues with any of the guys that are actually working on the locomotives, dealing with staffing, scheduling of work, positioning of locomotives, getting parts, getting locomotives from transportation, which was always just a chore. Always fun. I assume we're backing up now.
Yeah, you're clear back. Yeah, gonna call that 15 to a hook.
15 to the hook.
So were you the
Honest to God,
power desk,
conductor
or
counts.
were you the power desk, or did you have to work with the power desk?
I had to work with the power desk, yes.
Okay.
No, the power desk was centrally located in Fort Worth. I was up in Seattle, so broken choo-choos
Wow.
would come to us, or choo-choos would come to us needing their oil changed or whatever, coming in for maintenance, and we would either fix them or try to fix them and then say that we fixed them, oops, and or do the maintenance on them, and then, yeah, we'd get them sent out. But we primarily dealt with older power. There's a lot of industrial power and industrial weird switching applications in the Pacific Northwest. So we had lots of old EMD GPs and SDs and several SD9s that are still in service and all sorts of wacky stuff that came to our shop that was kind of our specialty. So we didn't talk with the power desk too terribly often in some shifts because it was like, well, we're releasing this locomotive that needs to now get towed to Spokane. It's not going to give you any horsepower because it's ancient and sad. So,
The amount of power running around the Pacific Northwest still in BN paint too.
Oh
is
God, yeah. It's like 50% almost. It felt like, at least at the beginning.
All right,
you
Everything's
never
going
know the
either.
merger took place.
You're clear ahead. There's gonna be a helper somewhere up there that we're gonna have to tack onto, and I don't know where.
Okay.
They're putting it in the pocket by the iron ore mine.
Sweet.
So they'll tack it on the head end,
Awesome.
unless you wanted to put it on the tail.
I don't know. We'll defer to our guest lecturer. Head end,
Yes.
hind end helper. What do you think? It's
I
a
think
3% grade most of the way up.
3% grade all the way up with as many empties as we have.
We're
We're
ditching our empties here.
ditching the empties, okay.
So we've
But,
got loaded beams, empty hoppers.
Okay, so I think we'll still probably want to have it on the head end, though, because we don't have any steel reinforced cars, because we're very early on in the history of railroading, and one of the very important things about shoving and having helpers on the rear versus on the front is that if you have helpers on the rear, you're going to be compressing the cars harder than perhaps they were designed for, which is why, in the case of the Rio Grande, you'll see a lot of photos later in the day where they have a helper on the rear with the caboose behind it, because the cabooses did not get steel reinforcement, and if you would have shoved through them, you literally would have folded them over like a playing card. So lots of forces involved. So
we
you need to make sure you're managing compression and tension and not squishing the poor train cars to death. So
we should not kill Shaq tonight.
yes, we should not kill Shaq tonight.
Train 300 is in the siding at Pratt's Cut, awaiting the arrival of Train 99.
Copy that. Train 89 is going to be departing immediately from Plateau.
Okay, I'm calling you from the new phone booth at Pratt's Cut as well.
Oh god, there's phone booths going up as we're going along here.
Train 99 to dispatch, understands, departing now.
Random nobody 694200. Is this stream running at like 10 FPS for everybody else, or is it just my Wi-Fi?
No, it's
no,
my
that is-
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, her Wi-Fi combined with everybody's favorite, just waiting on the good old spline update, which will hopefully smooth out some of these things that we experience.
We're working on it.
Yep, no, that was not meant as a subtle dig in any way. Just addressing a question. And so glad to have some. I keep seeing a number of new followers popping up on the screen as we're having these conversations. So thank you to those of you who are following us here on Twitch. If you're not already, you can click that purple heart. It lets us know that you love us and you love what we're doing, which is great. And even if you don't love us, you can tell us what you'd like to see, and then maybe you'll
Nice,
love
we can
us.
bring it to a stop here. We gotta ditch these empty steak flats.
All right, bringing it to a stop.
One of the things if you haven't figured out watching at home yet, is that I like to run mixed trains where I'm moving stuff in other trains to get it to where it needs to be. So that way I'm not running individual trains to every location. I think it makes the railroad a little bit more efficient, if not slightly confusing at times.
How
It's
very
nice having the-
unprecision scheduled railroading of you.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't go by that here. Well, a
We
little
like-
bit. We're running minimum crews.
I really like having the mixture of freight in a train. It's so easy to kind of get into just hauling big blocks of just lumber or just coal, and it's nice having the mixture of commodities per train. Is that the passenger train that is passing us?
The cursed passenger train. Mohawk Flyer.
Hello, Mohonk Fire.
Oh,
You will note the
it's
California
beautiful.
Zephyr style caboose arrangement.
You've
We were
got
inspired by
you
the-
got 3 dome cars on the rear. Yeah, that's
Yep.
very California Zephyr of you.
Yep.
I'm not
Oh.
sure in what
Fancy
context
car.
that a DNRG bobber caboose counts as a dome car, but
Luxury passenger cars.
This
It
one,
counts in the context
this
that there's
one.
an award-winning tea service provided.
that gets rocketed into your face unless you're the host. Got it.
I think Rudy's on tea duty today. Is that right?
No, it's PSR. The passenger train's being run by a one-man crew.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, beautiful. That
Uh,
sounds like Amtrak is happening.
It's the Amshack.
The Amtrak Cal Zephyr. There we go.
Alright, we're cut away. I hope we fit with these cars before we bump into the helper.
Okay.
But you're clear to pull ahead. Well, we'll call it 10 to clear the switch.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can get some logs in this thing before I get moving too quick.
So something I'm always curious about when I talk with folks who do the real railroading as their paid gig is, in a way, how do you do it? Like, obviously, when it's a job, there's probably a lot of things that you don't like about it as a job. So how do you keep the enjoyment of it when you're
Oh God.
facing all the elements of it that you don't like?
There are it's so compartmentalized, and there are some things where you start to understand why the railroad did all the stupid things that it once did back in the day that you didn't agree with. I caught myself swearing at BNSF that I wish that we would just cut up the last of the SW 1500s because how
Five
much of a
cars.
headache they were giving me. 5 cars. And yeah, so I understood why they scrapped the stuff that they hated because I knew what they felt like in the moment.
Two,
2,
one.
1.
I've got a story about doing brick arches in a second.
Oh god.
Uh,
Everyone's favorite thing to
far
do.
enough. Uh,
Far enough. We're theoretically stopping.
you want to pull the pin there, Nick, and we'll just kick these back in. I'll ride them in. You guys can get the helper tied on and back down onto the train.
Pins pulled.
All right, give us a good shove there.
Shoving them good. Here we go.
Uh, at I was the smallest person when I started at my local tourist railroad, and I think it was my second year firing. And
That
it was
means you get all the fun jobs.
oh God, yeah. Any small place I could fit that someone needed to go, I was there. But I had to put the brick
Bingo.
arch in one year, and it was the first and last year I did it, because they told me to glue it in really well. So I glued it in really well. We had to break out all the bricks on the ends to actually get them out of spite, because I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I hate doing this. Like, why am I getting crammed into the box? It's freezing out. I'm freezing my ass off, and
You're kicked.
yeah, I'm kicked. I'm riding them. I understood why steam engines went out while doing that. I was like, this is dumb. Why are we
Yeah.
doing this?
Go in the firebox one time. Go in the smoke box one time. Almost fall down the side of the tube bundle in the boiler one time while you
Oh,
suffer from claustrophobia.
oh no,
Oh, yeah, no,
no.
yeah, you understand very
I
quickly.
I went inside the tube bundle once. No, twice. I had to go in to help pull tubes, cause they were so scaled. Someone had to. We'd cut them out. We were chain falling on them
You're good to
to
shove
pull them
back, right?
off.
Shove back.
While someone was beating them on the firebox end, and someone inside was sliding them out, and I was the unlucky person that got shoved inside the barrel. It was stupid. It's like why do I like doing this?
Yeah, those are the not fun jobs. But yeah, I think for me, what made it stay fun was the history of it. I mean, the Interbay locomotive facility is, I think, still the last large shop that is actually a roundhouse on a Class 1 railroad. I can't confirm that. I don't have a Guinness World Record title to give it, but or at least it will be. Apparently, they're closing it in a couple of months here, which breaks my heart a little
Oh
bit. But
man.
it was super cool to walk around a 1929 Great Northern Roundhouse. And yeah, we had SD40s or even sometimes an Evo, brand new GE would come in and we'd be dealing with it. But to walk around and see the spots on the roof that they couldn't paint white because they couldn't get there with the boom lift. And so they were still pitch black from the exhaust of, all of the history of steam that had been through that roundhouse since 1929, and seeing the awful walls and the foundation cracking and the history. I mean, it was just, that was the nice part of it for me, was there was so much history in that place. It was cool to be a part of.
That would be super neat. It's a shame that it's going to be retired essentially. Hopefully, it wouldn't be too much of a maintenance headache for some nonprofit to be able to preserve it in some
That would be
capacity.
the hope and dream. I'd love to see it stick around. It's kind of in a desirable area in terms of Seattle commerce. I have a distinct feeling that it'll get knocked down and sold, but
Mm.
that's
Mm.
that's just my that's just my gut feeling, knowing what's happened to the Burnham shops in Denver that Union Pacific got rid of. Shoot, probably 5 years ago now.
Great,
Is that
Great
long ago
Northern
already?
fans can't get no love.
Look at this.
Hey, Great Northern, the only ones who have it worse in that region are the SPNS fans. You
Oh,
like, I'm sorry if you're an SPNS fan. I'm sorry that there's not more to show. My hometown used to have an SPNS Alco.
Oh, they have the 700 down in Portland.
Well, that's
That
that's a
that is
particular
one of
car.
their locomotives that's cool and runs. I don't know of like a GN engine that runs. I'm sure there is, but
Well,
probably.
we
Jeeps.
we were involved in sending an SPNS engine back west. There's a FA headed back out there soon.
Yes, this is
Oh,
true.
cool.
Oh, that one, right?
Yep.
It was
We were
part of a
involved in
donation that we
preserving.
got that we really had no. We had there was no way that we could do it justice, and they reached out to us and wanted to preserve it. So
Uh, I,
My
I
old
just got
hometown
notice
railroad.
from our yard master that we're lined out of the yard, and they brought our power down for us. So we
Well,
can
look
depart
at that.
whenever we're ready. Anything I need to know about double heading as we're getting out of here?
Well, so traditionally, what we would have done right now is you just brought the helper engine and put it on the road engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we've just added the second locomotive. So if we were in a more modern day situation where we had air brakes running all the way on the train, I would have had control of the air the whole time over. But now you would need to have control of the air. So as we cut the air line between us in, I would cut my brake stand out and I would whistle at you, giving you signal that it would going to be your turn to take control of the air. So I would give you a short, long, short whistle saying I'm handing control of all the brakes to you and I'm cutting my brake stand out, which I'm simulating by bringing my brake to 0. And you would respond with the same whistle command acknowledging that you have control of the air brakes. And then if we were to do the reverse later, it would be short, short, and long to do the reverse handoff. But that is a requirement to acknowledge who's got control of the brake stand, because if your brake stand is cut in and you're in release, your locomotive's main reservoir will be constantly trying to charge the train to whatever your feed valve is set to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in lap, you will be preventing the other locomotive from taking a set, so you have to cut the whole brake stand out. But obviously, we don't have train brakes in Railroads Online. So just a bit of fun realism for this sake until we get them. But as far as what happens now, is this is essentially your show. We're gonna run this like you are pulling the train by yourself, and you're gonna keep everything in tension. So you're gonna be pulling hard, and I'm gonna supply power when we need to.
All right.
I have to supply a little early so that we don't break my drawbar with you either. But it's basically going to be a 90-10 kind of thing until we need the power of both the locomotives. And
Cool.
any whistle signals that are not you calling for signals will get repeated in acknowledgement by me.
All right. All right. So I'm opening up my throttle like 30% to start.
Yep, and I've got mine just barely off. So you basically, your job as the helper engine is to stay out of the way of the road engine. That is the easiest way to describe it. It's very much something that you feel in the seat, which is always hard to be a teachable item in these sorts of things.
It's hard to be a
right?
teachable item when you're actually in the seat.
It's also true. But it's very much, you can feel when the engines fight. Because if the road engine starts to overcome the helper engine for whatever reason, be it a dip in the track or the helper engine has less of a throttle setting or something, you start to get a desync and you can get a kind of oscillation of the locomotives banging into each other, and you can lose a ton of speed.
Ooh.
And I've seen that happen before. I've only been a part of it once, but that was a special case where we were double heading 346 with 491, which was a pointless endeavor of stupidity. But
Okay.
anyway.
Please tell me 346 was in the front too.
Yes, 346 was in the front, but the problem of it was that 346 wasn't adding any tractive effort, really, because it couldn't even pull 491 up the hill that we were running up. So it was just trying to keep away from 491, and we didn't get enough power down with the 491 fast enough, and 346 started working water, because it had so much steam demand to keep up with what it was doing, and you have to carry your water pretty high at the museum. And so as soon as it started working water, they shut back on 346. Then 491 tried to catch up with it, but being the big superheated dog that it is, proceeded to do a big burnout, and then we were just sitting there fighting throttles back and forth for all 500 feet of hill we have.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, that's you don't want to get to that point. You want to keep it nice and tension the whole way, so the helper engine just has to stay out of the way of the rear engine.
Basically, the goal is to keep it intentional.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh,
that one. Sure,
I think we just lost 30 viewers on that.
at least.
You're welcome.
Well, just to give you
Sure.
to be the good pilot here that I should be, since you don't know the road. Basically, we're on a roller coaster grade for the next 10 minutes or so, and then we hit our uphill.
Okay.
So a lot of undulation.
Well, that'll
Uh,
be interesting.
300 to dispatch
Yeah, go ahead. 300.
from the Prescott phone booth. We are ready to leave, and 99 is past us. However, our train order does not specify anything beyond Prescott.
You are picking up your helper at Plateau as SOP for the 300 series trains.
Okay.
Making your deliveries, then coming home.
Okay, so we're
let me
clear-
know when
clear to
your
leave.
helper's ready to come back downhill, and I'll write you a train order.
Sounds good. Okay, off we go.
And we hopefully soon we can do a true lesson where we spend the whole time dispatching. We'll get in hopefully a real dispatcher to teach me what I'm doing, because I'm not the best dispatcher in the world. My train orders are usually not the best.
You know,
I
did
know
that,
one
right?
that you might be able to have on who might be interested.
Oh, that's definitely send them my way.
Will do. I'll ask him if he's interested. He's I don't know if he's still dispatched for the Durango and Silverton, but he formerly was, and they still do standard order out there as well.
I got a job offer for Durango and Silverton. God, about 10 years ago now. And got to go out there when they were still running 4 trains a day up to Silverton. Got a
They
ride
still
on the last
do
one.
every summer just about.
It I tell you,
when they can, asterisk, but yeah.
it was the coolest experience in the world with all 4 trains running and learning about their timetable operations. It was a cool time. It was definitely a fun trip. The first time I really felt like honest to God old school railroading, with out all the radios and the whistle signals going on, passing signals back up the train. It's cool. That's the kind of thing that I think makes railroading fun.
Yeah, it's very much a neat operation to see happen. Both of the big narrow gauge roads in Colorado. Sorry, Georgetown Loop. No mean to slight you, but both of the Durango and Silverton and the Cumbres and Toltec running multiple trains like that, and then working that way, it's still really cool. That's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Croombrace is on my list. It's a 3 of us at the short line that I worked for. We always said that if we were ever going to disappear off the face of the earth, you'd find us in Chama. But I guess now that I've said that to all of you, I will not be there if I disappear off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Chama is a beautiful place. I think one of my favorite memories in all of the world was being in there for the Rotary Charter back in 2020, and myself and a good friend of mine, Leighton, who's been on my channel a couple times, we had a couple beers at Foster's, and we walked out the door and kicked the door open, walked outside, and there's a K-36 right across the street from us, shoving cars in, prepping the consist for the next day, and it's like, where else in the world can you do this?
That's
Come
the
on.
coolest thing in the world. I'm getting goosebumps sitting here at that.
You literally, I mean, last time I was there for the 20 charter, we sat outside. They've got a little outside seating area, and you're just watching the yard happen. Oh, there's the train coming in. Okay, they got all this stuff going on. Oh, someone in the shop's mad. What's going on? You know, just super cool to be a part of it. So
I will challenge that a little bit. I will say, as somebody who's stayed at the Iron Rail Bread and Breakfast, which is right across the street from the Rock Hill Furnace Shops of the East Broad Top,
that might win. That could win.
like where you could just wake up, walk across the street, and then, oh, there's the shops. I'm in the shops now. This is cool. Granted, I have not experienced it with Steam, but we all know that is
it will
coming
happen
very
soon. Yes.
So I will. I've experienced it with a diesel. And even with the diesel, it was cool. So I will
Can
say
I,
its day is coming.
Can I give you a neat bit of fun insider information for your guys' stream that's not necessarily public knowledge?
If you're okay with all of our followers hearing it,
Yes?
Of course. Hey, I'm the
Go f-
community manager for Railroads Online. They're not leaks, it's news.
Well, we appreciate you leaking or
leak
news,
leak
Fair.
us the
leaking
news.
news.
It's not been leaked news on my channel yet. Actually, it was leaked on one of my live streams, but we purposefully muted me so that they had to go to one of our co-live streamers to hear it. So some people
Ooh.
do know this, but many people do not. I got contacted by officials from the East Broadtop about A, doing videos, but also B, about modeling the 16 for Railroads Online to coincide with its return to service.
Ooh,
Oh.
So, how cool is that going to be?
That's fast approaching.
That is fast approaching. Luckily, Daniel's very fast, and so's Glock, so they'll figure it out, but
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
yeah.
East Broadtop is on my wish list for the summer to hopefully get out to, or the fall spectacular.
I've never been out there. I need to get out
I-
there and see it. So
I've never been. I've heard stories from Lynn. I've heard stories from Dave Conrad, and I'm just like, damn it, guys, stop making me jealous of this place.
The Fall Spectacular is worth going to. Having been there twice, one when they were still running Steam in 2010,
And
then once, 3 years ago we met Nick out there?
yeah,
Something like
that was that was a fall reunion
Yeah,
technically.
because they didn't do a spectacular because they weren't running stuff. Well, they did a speeder trips though. That was pretty damn cool.
Yes, but the fall the differentiation is, this is me putting on my former Friends of the East Broadtop hat. The fall reunion is the Friends of the East Broadtop. Fall spectacular is the railroad.
It's
doing it.
2017.
There we go. That sounds right. But yeah, that was.
Was it that long ago?
It's 2017 on my birthday.
Yeah, that's right.
But yes, well, and I appreciate that you are modeling the correct hoppers, which is to say you're modeling EBT hoppers in one of your upcoming with the wood ones, and I'm sure we can all agree that the pressed steel ones / home built Orby ones are going to be pretty exciting once those come down the pike too.
I think they're legally required to be in the game because I think they've ended up on every 3-foot gauge narrow gauge railroad in the world. I swear to God.
Yep.
There's some in South Africa, aren't there?
I've
they've
plowed
made it
snow.
everywhere.
I've plowed snow with one. I'm just remembering this. When the Coombe Race and Toltec brought their track crew and their equipment up to do MOW work at the Railroad Museum, they brought one of their East Broadtop ballast hoppers so that we could pour ballast and do everything. And I plowed out the railroad with 346 and that one hopper. And oh my goodness, I only have like 1 or 2 pictures, but that was epic. Yeah.
Those hoppers were built really well.
They
people
last.
people think of 3-foot as sort of oftentimes I think they think of it as subpar railroading. I have a friend who refers to it as a zoo train, but the EVT was standard gauge in everything except its track.
The Rio Grande Southern, on the other hand, perhaps not, but you know,
the Rio
we
Grande
understand
Southern,
where the comparison comes from.
the Rio Grande Southern is what inspired countless model railroader articles. That's the other side of this creative spectrum, you could say.
And Rio Grande Southern's the reason we have Strasbourg, more or less. If it wasn't for Lynn's dad and his experiences on the Southern.
True. Lynn has said that if it were up to him, he would have 3-foot gauged the Strasbourg by now. Not sure how the conversion on the motive power would have worked out, but hey, we'd get another narrow gauge decapod. So
Hey, well, he got to run his RGS 20 convertible edition in Pennsylvania with no tender, so he gets the unique experience that nobody else got to have.
that's true.
Seeing
He
that
had a
video
lot
of
of
him
fun.
running that engine made me unreasonably happy.
Right. So fun fact, obviously Lynn worked at Strasbourg for eons, but I guess I don't know what the relationship was between Strasbourg and the museum originally with the 346 rebuild that Strasbourg did before 20, which not terribly well known about anymore, but 346 went back there and got a big rebuild 2006, 2007. But Lynn had never gotten to see it turn a wheel until he came out with us, maybe 2016 at the museum. And I got to fire for Lynn and coach him around the Colorado Railroad Museum for the first time back in, I think, 2016. And that was a joy. It was fun.
Oh, that's cool. I'm always amazed at what a small world the preservation community is, because, like, you just end up knowing it's how many degrees of
Right.
separation from Kevin Bacon is what it
It
feels
really,
like.
it really is. Yeah,
We
it's
hitting
bizarre.
the 2.75% hill here.
All right, I'm giving it the power. You best be wide open, and I'd probably best be right behind you.
If I could get it past the nut, I would. The throttle's at the ceiling, as we say on the
throttle's
standard
at the
gauge.
ceiling. Yeah, throttle's at the back cab wall is what we say on the narrow gauge, because ours don't do that. Unless you're the 111, in which case, yes, it does, but
Does that have
Anyway.
a front end throttle?
it does. The 111 at the loop is a front-end throttle. But I could not believe that when someone told me that.
What's
That feels wrong.
Right? It's like a 23 or 24,000 pound tractive effort 280 outside frame narrow gauge engine with a front end throttle.
That's wrong.
Oh, okay.
I don't. No, no. I refuse to accept this. Oh, that's amazing.
Since this has come up a multitude of times, perhaps you could fill us in more on the backstory. How long has your experience with Colorado Railroad Museum gone back?
Since January 11th, 2014. So about 8 years now. A little over 8 years. I ended up going out there and ending up at the museum basically because it's kind of how I ended up at college there. I graduated high school 2013, which is going to date me, of course, right? As not that old. What?
We're the same age.
Oh, look at that. That's fun. Graduated 2013, was figuring out where colleges were going to be, and I realized that 346 is in Golden, Colorado School of Mines is in Golden. I should go tour that school just because I could go see 346. Wink. And then it ended up being a great school, so I went there anyways, but I wasn't going to look at it otherwise. I heard School of Mines and went, I don't want to do that. But they had a stellar mechanical engineering program too. So it was like, oh, no, that's what I want to do. And there's trains nearby, so that'll be fun. And I was good, and I listened to my dad's idea of using the first semester to learn what college was about and not go spend every waking moment at the Colorado Railroad Museum. And then the first weekend of the second semester, I started doing precisely that. So, yeah.
Compromise.
Yeah, compromise. And then I ended up, they were kind of short-staffed in some of the restoration efforts at the time. And I couldn't stay across the summer because my family was in Seattle and I'd moved out there and I didn't have a place over the summer being in, room and board and all that. So, 2015 came around and they said, hey, would you like to stick around? We'll pay you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I could do that. So they hired me as an independent contractor from 2015 until 2017. And that kind of paved the way to get like an internship kind of position at the museum that a good friend of mine, Brett Weebolds, is just about finished up with, kind of following in my footsteps. So it's kind of started a neat program there where mine students can go and learn the application side of the engineering things that they learn in school in practice on the old locomotives, because it's one thing to hear about annealing copper by learning that you can heat it up and then it does stuff and then it gets softer and can do good things for you. It's another thing when you watch a steam dome leak during a hydro, you pop the dome off, you squirt the copper with, your acetylene torch for 30 seconds till it starts getting rainbow colored, and then you stick it back in, and then look, hey, the steam dome's sealed now. Huh, what I learned in school actually has a practical application that I got to do. So, it was a neat thing.
That's amazing.
That museum is one of the places one looks at and goes, why did they build a museum there, as in geographically speaking? Because it is not the kind of place that you would think to build a railroad museum, let alone the kind of place that you would think, oh yeah, we're going to move all sorts of standard gauge equipment, including a giant CB&Q steam engine.
You've heard about how they got the 5629 there, yeah?
No?
I probably have, but for the sake of having a good story.
So the CB&Q painted it up and trussed it up for the museum in the early 60s at their shops in Denver. And then they stuck it dead on the end of a freight train. They rushed out. They built a spur across 44th Avenue in front of the museum without asking anybody. Without telling the museum, without telling the local roadway authority, the police, the anyone. MOW just showed up, tossed down panel track, shoved the Northern across the railroad into the Railroad Museum's property, hooked away from it, left it chalked up, pulled away, pulled the tracks up by the time the cops could show up and left.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
They ding-dong ditched a Northern. Like, come on!
As you do when you're a Class 1 railroad man.
You just get to do what you want to do. They're the Q. You can't mess with them.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
I'm trying to imagine
Wow.
how Ed Dickens had taken that approach with getting the 4014 out of Pomona.
That would have been slightly more surreptitious, I think, because the siding wasn't terribly long. They'd already had a switch in there, and there used to be a spur across the street from the museum. So it was, maybe 300 feet of track. But still, the fact that they did it in something like 3 or 4 hours. They showed up with a freight train, and it was just the beer run going to Coors to supply the Coors plant, because the brewery's right there. And they had a car with a bunch of panel track and the 5629 on the end of it. And they just went, there you go, Northern, bye.
Imagine walking in the next day and you're like groggy and you're like, is that?
When did that get there?
Has that always been there?
Let's restore it and run it on the main line.
And the donations.
That's a
there's
third of the
been some
way
recent
around
one-
the loop.
And the donations have kept coming since that. I mean, even in recent history, there was the Jeep 30, the Rio Grande Jeep 30 that was donated.
Jeep
I
30,
mean, a lot
the
smaller.
the tunnel motor, and the tunnel motor was quite the adventure to get to the museum. There's actually great footage of it being run in by 4 side booms down 44th Avenue. That happened on my birthday a couple years ago. It was funny. And all sorts of stuff. Yeah, the museum's collection's surprisingly dynamic for as not hooked into the general rail network as we are.
Well, at this rate, you'll just build a general rail network up to your little site there. Yeah. Just extend the Coors spur a little bit. You'll be all set.
There was originally a proposal that Bob Richardson had with, I don't remember if it was BN or the Q in those days, but they had a proposal to 3-foot gauge, dual gauge the line into Golden from the museum. And that would have been the museum's ops, but somehow that fell apart like many of the illustrious dreams. Would have been cool.
That's cool.
But it is a nice museum. I've enjoyed my visits out there. I mean, Golden's a nice town in general, but the museum it's a nice site. There's such a nice collection of different eras, different elements, different gauges.
See,
I mean, I'm probably partial to the 5570 or 5571 or 57. I'm forgetting if there's 2 sevens or 1 7.
5771, the F9, yeah.
Yep. As a Calzephyr fan.
See,
That's a cool locomotive.
I'm jealous that you end up getting to travel to museums, because I spend all operating season running and then just never get to visit anywhere when they're doing anything. Like, I'll end up at the B&O Museum on what we call our quote-unquote field trips. It's more like a booze cruise through town because we're bored during January. And it's just like, well, here's like 6 railroaders in an empty museum in January, and there's nothing going on. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Last time I went to a different railroad museum, I was at TVRM the week after they finished running Steam, and I was like,
Oh,
well,
sad.
hi, still warm 4501 probably.
I've got a good friend down there at TVRM, and keep trying to bug her to come up and fire my engine so I can go down and fire her engine.
She still owes me a cab ride. I gave her a cab ride on the 346. She still owes me one. If you're out there.
She's in the Discord actually.
Is she really?
Yeah.
We have no Steam, but you're gonna come see us.
She is a huge video game nerd apparently.
Oh,
We got
well,
the
that's
chatting
fun.
one day. It's a busy time in her life. right now.
Yes.
Indeed.
But gonna keep nudging her to come play.
Well, that would be fun.
See, this is the small
Right.
world part about rail
Yeah.
preservation.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. What are
I-
the odds of that?
I'm
Yeah.
honestly surprised we haven't run into each other at some point.
Yeah. It's just the weird name of the game with this stuff. Speaking of the Colorado Railroad Museum, they're hosting a Colorado Crossings event next weekend where they're running the 491, all three of the geese, and the RGS 20. There'll be parades and freight trains and all sorts of stuff. It's supposed to be like an intersection of what you could have seen in Durango in the 40s and 50s, is the thought behind the event. So they've actually been repainting the Ricoh business car and relettering the 284 or not the 284, the 280 passenger car, and getting everything ready for it, and doing some work on some of the freight cars that haven't seen it in a minute. And I've been getting snippets from the guys, and I've been quite excited for it. But I'm going to be out there armed to the teeth with GoPros and cameras and GoPro mounts for future content on my channel. We'll be able to do some real fun instruction with a couple first-person shots. So
Ooh, that's gonna be very cool. We will have to be sharing those out on our page as well, cause love getting the educational content out there for everyone to see.
yeah, I am fully ready to dispose of a GoPro accidentally via Firebox because I'm planning on having shovel cam. So we'll see if it melts to death or not, but we'll see.
The shot I've always wanted to get is mounting one inside the frame, pointed at the brake cylinders, and watching like the brake travel and the journal boxes moving up and down. That's the
Oh, that
shot I've
could
always
be-
wanted to get.
That's really extra hard on the narrow gauge.
Yes.
But that's an interesting idea. I hadn't considered that. I've got some magnetic and clamp mounts, so we'll kind of see. We'll kind of see what's going to go on there.
It's yeah. If you can get that one, I will be a very happy camper.
Well, we'll see. I think it would be particularly interesting on the 20, because then you could also see the Stephenson valve gear doing what it's going to do.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that because everything I have is wall shirts. Oh, that's cool. That's
Although you wouldn't get the brake cylinders then, because the brake cylinders are under the cab on the 20. But they're underneath the steam chest, or not underneath the steam chest, underneath the smoke box behind the steam chest, in the physical most inconvenient place physically possible on the 491. So I'll see if I can't get a camera in there.
Yeah, with the inside, with the outside frame, I'd imagine that's a harder place to get to, and then on my standard gauge girls.
Yeah, to get to the cups, you have to snake your way over one of the axles, but then under the valve gear hanger, and then twist 90 degrees axially down your spine to come up through the brake rigging to get to the tops of the cylinder heads.
Is it wrong that I
And-
understood those directions?
Right? It's just, yeah, very uncomfortable. I could do it probably 30 pounds ago, but Lord, I don't know if today Hyce, post-COVID Hyce, could do it. Maybe they'll try and stuff me down there for something this to go around, but
One of the short lines I worked for didn't have a pit, so to be able to get inside to inspect your brake rigging and the backside of all your journals, you had to grab onto the running board, kick out, kick in, and tuck, and get your feet up over the wheels, and then slide in, and then crawl through all the holes in the frame. Pre-COVID Casey could do it. Post-COVID Casey is a little bit skeptical.
yep. Yeah, I resemble that. Yep.
And it was not fun crawling around in the frame of an engine where the wheels are on the outside. So I can't imagine what trying to do that on the narrow gauge is.
Yeah. Yeah. Where the wheels are still on, the wheels are on the inside sometimes, but the frame is still relatively narrow. Yeah, that's a whole thing.
It's the shared experiences of why we play with Steam, maybe?
Yeah, one of those fun things. The people who go, hey, fun tip. People always ask, like, how do you get to do stuff in the cab, and how do you get to learn this stuff? Be the person that we're talking about that says, yes, I'll go underneath the frame and become a pretzel, literally. Or, yes, I'll go in the smoke box. I'll do that, gladly, with a smile on my face. My washing machine will hate me later, but you know what? I might get a chance to run something if I do this. Yeah, there's your tip.
the winter after I spent the entire winter sitting on the pit that was as deep as the railhead, doing the shoes and wedges job, uh,
Oh
that
no!
May when we were oh, it was terrible. That May when it came time to fire up the engine for test fire post hydro, CMO handed me the scoop and said, "You're the student today." And I was like, "Oh, cool! That all of that work paid off."
That was worth it. Yeah, I can I can only potentially one up the awfulness that must have been, and only slightly in one way in one case, and it must have been not been that bad because we only pulled one. But when we were potentially going to restore the 493 that's in Durango now, operationally, thankfully. Originally, the museum was looking at getting it because we needed more motive power to run our events with because the museum's laid on a 3.5% grade. It's silly. Anyway, we were down there evaluating the 493 in Silverton, and fun fact with an outside frame engine, you can drop the binders and get to the shoes and wedges and the cellars without needing a pit because they're on the outside. You just got to get the
Oh.
counterweights clocked in the right spot. That does mean that you get to lay in the ballast on snow when it's snowing outside,
Oh.
bench pressing a 300-pound binder strap with your best buddy, hoping you don't drop it on your skulls, while screaming Monty Python references at everyone because you're getting a little crazy. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's...
we only
Oh
did it
my
once.
God.
We only had to do one, so that's
You
why
know,
I wouldn't say it's worse. Because doing 8 from with limited clearance, limited pit, that's not fun.
me and one of my friends crammed on either side of the axle, supporting the binder with like our steel-toed boots and 2 bottle jacks, trying to like prop it up on our steel toes to then get the bottle jack under. It was not fun.
Yeah,
We have a pit now.
yeah.
It's nice.
Pits are nice. Pits are dirty and gross, but pits are nice. When the second you have to do any maintenance task that should really have a pit and you don't have one, you become very thankful for that greasy little hole of hell that you have, because it could be so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Mario
we're
says, "All
getting-
hail the pit."
All hail the pit. Yes.
All hail the pit, indeed.
We pray to the pit. We just got nice lighting during Christmas season at our railroad in our pit. Cause all 3 of our engines were using it every day. And the president was like, "I'm tired of not being able to see," because he only runs during Christmas. So, like the next day, we had brand new, super bright lights that only shined up and didn't blind you when you're doing your inspection. Oh, it's amazing.
That is a luxury. That's a nice thing. Maverick CIV says in chat, "Now go away, I shall taunt you a second time." And fun fact, I yelled that at my boss at the time while we were unbench pressing the binder to get it down. We were literally a little loopy because we've been working all day, and it's been cold and whatever. It was that point. It was the time when beer was needed. It was like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, cold, awful storm, and we're getting the
Qualified.
binder down and yelling Monty Python quotes at each other. And he comes up and says, "Would you guys quit it?" And then I said, "Well, now go away. I shall taunt you a second time." And then he let us do our work, and then that was that. And we told him his mother smelt of elderberries, and it was all even. So
Lovely.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm qualified on those experiences. It's. Do you think we're convincing people to go out and start volunteering at their local railroad or not?
yes or no? Because I think that the camaraderie and the memories looking back are worse than the sore backs, I think, and the sad washing machines and dryers that happened after the fact. I think, like, looking back and like, oh yeah, no, we did that. And then you get the payoff of 493 is in service because we went to go look at it. No, we didn't end up restoring it, but it is running and is like the crown of the fleet right now because it's one of the first oil conversions, right? Like, that is so cool to say, hey, yeah, it's not like in any of the history books, but I was the guy there. I was that guy. So I think that's worth it.
You got to participate in the Victorian Steam Weekend at the Cumbres and Toltec last year in 2021, and I imagine that was a Herculean effort on the part of so many individuals. But hopefully that's something that you look at and have that feeling towards as well.
That is probably the biggest, coolest thing I've ever done in my life, hands down. Yet that whole
I'm
experience,
jealous.
being there with the whole team, being there with all the other locomotives and all the other crews, um, helping everyone out, being over prepared with all the spare parts, like we are, and then being able to help the other crews out and make sure that everyone's runs ran well, and then getting to do it ourselves. And knock on wood, not having mechanical problems with the locomotive, having a good time, being respected by the railroad and respectful of the railroad, and just getting to share it with some of my lifelong friends. Because I don't know about you guys, but at least for me, the people that you get stuck in the pits, the trenches, the sides of the whatever, on the wayside, dealing with all the BS along the way, those are some of my favorite people that are the best friends that I have. So I think it's absolutely worth it to get involved and go do it, because those memories are invaluable.
I'd agree 100%. Playing with one of my good friends from the railroad tonight, who's in the other channel doing switching moves right now. Between him, I'm still in contact with people from the short line I no longer work with. I'll catch up with them like once or twice a year and grab a beer. Go down and help when they need a contractor or something. It's lifelong friendships and some of the best stories I think you could ever get. I've told railroad stories at my day job to people, and it has actually gotten a couple of people at my job to be like, "Can I come and visit and get a cab ride? I'm really curious about this." Like, yes, you can. Here's a form.
Come in, you'll come see the thing, and then you'll get it. A lot of people look at you like you're crazy. You're gonna go. You spend your Saturday and Sunday getting filthy, doing hard manual labor, shoveling coal. What is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Um, you get them to come out there and see it. You get them to come and see a living, breathing steam locomotive, and everyone understands pretty much right away. It's
Mm-hmm.
so different and so special. I mean, yeah, it's cool.
I have, who is now a good friend, they came out during Christmas, where we run all three of our steam engines on 3 different trains for our Christmas train. And I told him, I was like, "You're going to show up at exactly this time. You're going to see 2 steam engines pass in the dark. It's going to be really cool. And then you'll hop up for your cab ride." And if they weren't jumping up and down like a 4-year-old, as soon as we met, we ran around our train, we tied back on, and they were just like, "Oh my god, this is actually the coolest thing in the world. What the fuck?" And it's
Yeah,
like that's what makes it rewarding for me, is that reaction from people.
my favorite face in the whole world is the face of someone who just got to blow a steam whistle for the first time in a locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody realizes it until they get in the cab and they see the rope. They're like, "Oh, that's the thing. That's the thing that does the woo woo thing that we've all." And then yeah, it's a special thing.
I'm that way when I let my cab riders fire during our shove move, because it's a shove move and it's all downhill. So I'm like, "Here, you want to try?" And hand them the scoop and show them what to do and let them throw 2 or 3 scoops of coal in, and they're like children after it, and like just the biggest smile you can ever see.
And what location was that we just passed through, by the way?
We just went through BMAC Point, where named after BMAC, because when the
No,
physics update
I
came,
was before.
oh,
Before
before
Pima.
that, oh, before BMAC Point, that was Hellsetter's Curve, named similarly because of the location on the Western Maryland Helmstedter's Curve, except ours is hellish.
Well, it'd be less so if we could cut, but we'll hopefully get there.
Yeah, I don't think I'd cut that, because I think it's a beautiful moment on the map.
I like it. I
And
love this whole region of the map.
uh, Christian S1 writes in the chat, "Unfortunately, you haven't convinced me to volunteer, but everything that has been said so far hits home. I've been volunteering at the Cello, I always forget which one it is. Railway Museum for a little over a year now, helping with 401's 1472 has been really fun for everybody except the washing machine."
I'm
That's accurate.
My overalls are only allowed to go to a laundromat and not my washing machine at home. They've been
It,
banned.
yeah, I was when I was a single man. That was the way it worked. But now it's not just my clothes that run through the washing machine. So, yeah, same thing. And yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm the guy that shows up to the shop ready to work 8 o'clock, and 8:01, I am somehow just the definition of filth. Like I'll just walk past the locomotive, and I have just become dirt.
I, no, I'm the same way. I'll run all day and be sitting in the seat box, having done not a whole lot, honestly, because you're running all day. Um, and I'll get off, and I'll be dirtier than the fireman. Like,
Yep.
how? Why is your face clean?
Yeah.
See, it's
No,
helpful when you're both railroaders because my washing machine is just so used to it at this point, it doesn't matter.
Oh, see, you're lucky then.
I'm surprised it hasn't refused to work.
We are nearing the peak of our grade and coming onto a 1%. So, operational practice here is to pull the pin as we come across this next bridge, and the helper runs ahead into the hole,
Okay.
and the road power takes it the rest of the way.
Works for me.
I can get into place to pull
We
the
would
pin.
if we were doing this the proper air brake way and we had air brakes to
Yes,
deal with,
am I-
we would set up and stop and then hand the air over and all that stuff because you have to typically hand it over with a set. Yeah.
It's a short, long, right?
Yep.
Aha, see, I'm learning something tonight.
Now I've got control of the air brakes that we don't have. Good.
Well, you
Uh,
have your air brake.
Well, I've the train brakes that are automatic, which we don't have. But yeah, normally you have to stop with a set so that there's no feed valve shenanigans that go on there when you cut brake valves in. So you typically have a 20-pound set on, just like when you're tying down the brakes or whatever. So typically you can't cut off on the fly if you're really doing things the proper way. But obviously with just straight air just on the locomotives, there's no issue to do that. So this is just a faster way to run the railroad.
Yeah,
Sir Liv asks, have you had any instances of the locomotive itself contributing to the filth, like priming and vomiting a bunch of ash onto your new car?
we have a rule in our rule book because of that very problem.
I'd love to hear it. What's the rule?
So, we swapped our saturated engine onto a train that was parked next to the parking lot for Christmas because the recently shopped 280 was put onto the heavy Pullman train. So now this saturated engine rolls out of the shop, ties onto this train, then sits for an hour. And it's right next to the parking lot where everyone's cars are parked. And not the railroaders' cars. It's not the engine house parking lot. It's the conductor parking lot. And all
And
of their
it
nice
goes
white
just one
cars,
time.
it takes one pull. And it's a saturated engine, so all of that water and all of the steam cylinder oil goes.
Yeah. I've watched that first chuff hit people that don't know about it.
Oh,
And yeah, they become Dalmatians afterwards. So, yeah.
yeah, it's a fun time. It's yeah, we have a rule about it now. It landed in our rule book like the day after that happened.
There's been an update to the rules. Superintendent's car got pooped on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You're in that, Nick. You want to run that ahead? Switch his line for
Yep. Got it. And are we winding this one?
you. No, we won't. We won't buy this one. This can run back down tender first.
Okay. Oh, so we're just getting it tucked out of the way.
Yeah.
Got it.
And yes, Heist, this is your station stop.
Excellent. I'd assumed as such, so. we, we used to have.
If you go any further, there's a ramp.
Indeed. We can't continue. Good.
No.
At the museum, we have a long-held tradition of forgetting how many laps we've run, and so we'll continually blow the stop just in case. Is that the one? Look back. Conductor's asleep. Okay, it probably wasn't that one. Not that the conductor's actually asleep. He's usually interacting with the guests, but
Well, fortunately, at Colorado Museum, if you blew past your stop, you'll go buy it again in a few minutes.
Which is really helpful when you lose your scoop over the side. Let me know how I know that, or let me
Oh,
tell you how I
that's
know that.
lucky you.
Yeah, that's the only time that's not the biggest problem in the world.
Oh, well, I'll get to try it again in a few minutes.
Yeah, I've had quite a few lost scoops in my day. Most of them have, the nicest one was unfortunately lost to a fire incident
Ooh,
when the
yeah.
engineer wanted to be a hotshot and fire against how he runs. So had me run and told me to run like him, and he went to go hit the back corner, and this gorgeous wooden Pennsylvania Railroad scoop that was perfect, because it's was it was a scoop from 50 years ago that was worn in the right way.
And
Uh,
the draft said, "Give to me, please. It must be
yeah.
consumed."
During a Laro charter, he went for the back corner, and the scoop went wobble, 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 thump, and
Oops.
I think it was disintegrated before it ever hit the firebed.
That
Well,
is a travesty,
It
but
is.
all too common.
Oh
well, at
God, yeah.
least it happened where it made for really good smoke for some photos.
It briefly, yes. You want to go unload those rails, Nick, that we're passing past? Passing
Yeah,
past?
yes,
Technical
the
term.
the passing past rails, I will get those.
I
Past
think
and
this is a
present.
good speed. It's a little hard to tell on my end.
No, you're perfect on my end. Ah, I just got crushed, but it's good. We're alive.
Um, I'm uh, hopefully all the rails will land in place.
I see him going.
It looks like they will.
Yep, we're good.
So operational practice up here. We're gonna set out the hoppers for another train to take care of. So we do all our switching up on the other end where it's flat, so we're not switching on a hill.
Smart.
Yeah, we had an accident. Like every book and like every rule on the railroad, it was written in blood. Yeah,
Digital,
Yeah,
pixelated blood.
digital pixelated blood of John Railroadson.
ask me how I know.
Maverick
So
CIV says that they've lost a scoop in the firebox. It was their first time firing a traction engine.
That's a sad day.
oof, losing a scoop to the firebox is always a sad day.
I have thankfully never lost one to the firebox. I did lose the one over the side once, but I went and got it in the next lap, which is nice at the museum. So
Nick, you want to pull the pin on that caboose?
Mm-hmm.
Then Heist, we're just gonna run ahead to clear the next switch here.
okay.
You've got like a 30 car lead.
Oh
So
wow, you guys found some space to play with up here.
we narrow gauged it. It's along the mountainside.
There you go.
We hope to surprise you with some new ways of doing things here at the AM&W.
Is that point set wrong on my end or
Oh,
on
that
your end
that
too?
is set wrong. Good call.
Okay, there we go.
You know what? It's because the targets are backwards.
Yeah, that's besides the point of using harp stands on non-sprung point switches, but
That too.
yeah, or harp stands on pointed switches rather. But you get
Yes,
the idea.
I understood what you meant.
It's a feature and it's going to be upgraded. We know.
Which for the viewers at home, this is a harp stand, because it looks like the musical instrument, and they'd be used on stub switches where you're moving the stock rail to align with either track. You wouldn't have movable points, such as this.
Because you need to have tension on the points in order to make sure that they make correct closure with the stock rails. And the harp switch is about precision alignment, not about springing the points against something. So you could technically have a misadjusted point and then have no way to compensate for it with a harp stand. So
Yes.
they were not used for point switches except in accidental uses.
You've got 8 cars to a stop, much like
8
this.
to stop.
Yeah, it's something we don't want to harp on too much.
And there go another 10 viewers.
Wow.
Do you need this helper for anything else before I run it back down to plateau?
Uh, no, no.
Okie doke.
Let's type up a train order in the train order chat to get you out ahead of us. 2 cars
All
to
right.
go.
2 more.
I'll wait for such order to appear.
1 more.
1 more.
Is that caboose moving on its own, Nick? Did you let it just roll?
Yes.
Half a car.
Is that not what you wanted?
No, that's much better than what I wanted.
Okay. Just remember, Sir Liv says, just remembered an incident when I was visiting the Hyce Eisenbahn Museum. Got a cab ride on their Sudbahn 17C440, and the driver was a little enthusiastic with the reg. Had to stop to put out a grass fire before returning.
Ooh.
Yay, the fun of grass fires. Have you had a grass fire, or have you known folks who've dealt with grass fires?
I haven't had any grass fire experience, but we run along a river.
You want to know why 346 wore the Ridgeway Spark Rester for a while?
Yes.
It wasn't because we were backdating her for a CNS appearance. It was because she was naughty and the fire department said she had to.
Ooh.
She burned down the neighbor's field,
down.
the bunk car, and some of a 30-foot reefer car.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Tonnage plus wind plus master mechanics front end. Yeah. Yeah, that starts
Yeah,
fire.
that'll do it. Ugh. There's only been one fire on one railroad that I've worked for, and it was started by a Jeep 9. 'Cause it spat too much oil.
Yep, that tracks. Thankfully, I've never had to deal with like a big fire myself. We'll get little ones in the gauge here and there. Yeah, typically from something dropping out of the pan. But yeah, I've never had to deal with a big one. The 346's big one was before my time.
I was at the New York Auto Show when that happened, getting pictures sent to me by everyone who was putting out the fire while I was drinking and looking at nice cars.
It's always a good place to be. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not there.
When something bad's happening on the railroad, you want to be everywhere else. We're lines. You can give us a kick. I gotta stop this caboose before it runs into us.
Kicking? I want to do some kicking.
We may end up pulling this caboose as it goes by.
Well, that looks like it on the stream.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna end up pulling this. What's pulling a
gently.
car?
Yeah, what is pulling a car? Usually doing this, but with a pull.
A 6-foot large stick.
They made mega illegal very early on because stick
broke.
become brake, which become shrapnel, become dead railroaders.
Large toothpick embedded in railroader.
As
What?
if being a railroader wasn't already deadly enough.
Oh, did we perfectly bypass the hitbox?
We passed the
always fun.
hitbox.
Yeah, the caboose's hitbox is a little weird on the edge.
Someone take
corners.
a screenshot of this.
That's a bug. That's one of the. You would not believe the challenges that the hitboxes in this stinking game are.
That's
What
probably good for a
point?
kick, though.
Good for the kick.
Don't stop. Keep it rolling nice and easy. I'll get you lined down the next track as these clear up.
Nice and easy. I'm not sure if we're going to add polling in Railroads Online. It might be a little challenging to figure out.
I was gonna say, because I mean, trying to put something in put an object in the absolute right places. I mean, it was difficult enough in real life
Yeah.
Mhm.
to get
We
the
could have,
thing lined up.
It would have been fairly easy prior to Spline Update, but with the Spline Update changing the way that the trains behave, that may not actually make it possible anymore. Or it may make it quite interesting, so... Because the way that the trains work right now is that they have literal collision with the rails and everything. The wheel profiles are being simulated on certain wheels and all
Stop,
that.
stop.
So, all stop. Oh,
Yeah, we had an accident.
Nice.
Jeff
how
Gordon
did the
fan,
pick
mark it
cars
up.
go pee? What?
Uh, they were. I thought they were past the frog when I threw it, but apparently not.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Bring out the cups.
Uh, Nick,
Jeff
you have
Gordon
a.
fan, you're missing your opportunity. What do you need me to do? I'm still here.
You're still here.
Yes. Do you
Can
need
you
me to pull
help?
stuff?
Can you help? Oh yeah, you want to come grab these hoppers with that engine and
Yeah, I'm just
clear
gonna
them
come
up out
down
of the
the
way.
runner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm
Oh,
gonna cheat a little
Boo
bit with this
Mario's got
caboose.
us covered. We're up
No,
to
nobody
3.
look. Nobody look. We're not cheating with the caboose a little bit here. We're professional railroaders.
We're professional railroaders
And the
using our
hand of
professional
God
tools.
came down and blessed this, the holiest of cabooses. Move.
I like to refer to it as the 5-fingered crane.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Very model railroader.
Oh, I'm on the wrong track. Never mind.
Are you?
I'm gonna...
Oh.
This is the third derail event. Technically, on my stream, we count the individual derailed cars because it feels sillier.
But
So,
we
Yeah,
also
we
minus
got
one
the
because we
minus one,
rerailed the
yes.
car.
oh, that's right, -1. So technically 2 because we had the rerail, which that's a new rule, but we could write that in the timetable.
I hope you can carry that over to your streams.
That we'll have to edit my my great counter of counters, which if you've seen any of the recent ones is getting out of control. But
I've yet to catch the recent one. That's on my list to watch
There's-
this weekend when I'm
there's
doping around.
a couple moments in that may be worth actually highlighting and exporting as a separate video. So
Oh, nice. All right, your pin's pulled. You can give us a gentle shove.
gentle shove back.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm looking forward to the Class 70 upgrade because it is cumbersome to not have enough points to stand on the outside of the engine.
Yes, no, that's yeah. It's frustrating, but when you're trying to have physical collisions between the player model and an aero gauge locomotive that is if you've ever walked through the cab of an aero gauge locomotive, you understand this. They're not
Oh yeah,
Oh, they're
they're
tiny.
they're,
They're
so
tiny.
small. Yeah, I mean, I have pictures of my buddy Brett from the museum, and Brett's pretty tall. He's probably
That's
like
good on the kick.
6'7", good on the kick. He's probably like 6'7" or 6'8". He's a big dude, and he can see miles above the Eureka's cab from the footplate.
That's not right.
Like, it's just we've got a great picture. He was staring ahead of it. It's just like, I gotta get this. Sorry, Brett. This is gonna be embarrassing, but
I will say your game has made me a fan of Eureka. Where before it's like, oh, that's a nice engine, and now it's like, I can't wait to photograph it and crawl all over it and this and that.
right, it's so pretty. Such a pretty engine.
It is
It's gorgeous.
elegant.
Seeing that in the Glenbrook in person for the first time, I had never been sold on the 1870s like really crazy color aesthetic of the locomotives, but seeing them in person and seeing how ornate they are and watching the army of volunteers polish everything, that gives you a good impression.
All right, we're lined back into the hack. So,
I've got
make
the
her hook.
hoppers here.
Okay.
Shall I just pull that one and hope that it gets rerailed?
Hey, that'll add or remove from our counter. So
Let me
I'd
check
go
to see
for
if
it.
the pin's in. See if the link broke on it. Oh, no, the link broke.
Oh,
Sad.
all right. Well, then I'll pull it back a little further.
Yeah, you want to pull back a little further, and we'll just re-rail him back on. All right, got
Yep.
the hack. Brakeman for 2 engines at one time. I think that's a first for me in every sense of reality. Let's go ahead to clear the switch. We'll kick the hack on, and as you can see, there's a Y to your right. If you would like to turn yourself around.
Sure. Seems smart.
Yeah. How is it? I mean, in general, now that you're starting to cross over in terms of engines in the game and engines you've actually experienced in life, how does it feel to see these things that you know what they're like in real life, you know how they work in real life, and now you're actually operating them in a digital environment?
Yeah, it's cool because I haven't obviously operated a Class 70 because a Class 70 hasn't existed since 1914 in this configuration, really.
Mm.
Um, I've operated the C-19, which is the modernized Class 70, and obviously 346 having her little oopsie on Kenosha, which we always joke about, which is rather rude of us, but anyway, she'll get over it. She's old. That happened like 100 years ago. Get over it. Um, the proportions it feels so good when you're in that cab. The controls aren't quite in the right place. It's not quite the right like same thing just because they changed everything when they modernized it. They changed the cab, right? But seeing the fluted domes, seeing the overall profile of the locomotive as you look down it when you sit in first person view, it is
Uh,
almost spot on.
Pins
It is
balls.
so cool. And I mean, that's what I love. And it gives me a great feeling here, obviously being so far away from the museum so much of the time these days, working and living in Seattle, only going out maybe 3 or 4 times a year, if that. Um, it gives me some chance to play with something that is very similar to what I know and love. So I can't wait for the K37 so that I can have 491 as well.
It's got to be a weird being like, I recognize this vaguely, but also not. Like that's got to
Yeah,
be a weird feeling.
the line work, the peaked roof cab, the tender with the weird toolboxes, the air compressor being on the wrong side, but then the wheel spacing is bang on perfect, right? Like it's just weird.
Uh, Train 99 to dispatch.
Yeah, go ahead, 99.
After some blood, sweat, and tears, uh, Train 99 is finally ready to depart uh, Hill Valley southbound whenever at your discretion.
99, you have the Railroad South.
Excellent, thank you.
And just watch your switch coming around the Y. I think the other leg may be lined against you. Blah.
Roger.
Leg lined. That's a tongue twister for you.
Sir lives out observing that uh, Eureka's not just pretty, but she's got more power than most Railroads Online players give her credit for. She's not a powerhouse, but she still doubles a Betsy.
Well, double of nothing is still nothing.
Nothing, nothing, carry the nothing. No, sorry.
It's very rude of me to the real Eureka, and of course, it is a beautiful locomotive, and yes, it is much more powerful than people give it credit for. But yeah, wasn't built for tonnage slogging up hills. Everyone seems to forget that it wasn't designed for freight back in the day. It was supposed to be pulling a couple cars pretty quick, and it does a mighty good job at that.
And that's largely what I use it for in game, as the cursed passenger train. If you were around earlier,
That was, yeah, that was the thing.
we've always had this idea of we want to do a drunk night where we just run the cursed passenger train and ride in the cars, talking like just swapping stories and drinking. So that may have to come up soon before the railroad needs to disappear with the spline update.
Well, hopefully it won't have to. The jury's still out on that, but we'll see.
I think I'm going to, out of what I've learned, to
That that's
make a
also fair.
better railroad, and make it more railroady, more like come up with a better point to point setup.
When you have a moment, if you could write me up a handy dandy train order, then I
Yes.
can make
Uh,
my merry little way back.
and we're writing you a train order to head out because you can't
You have
double
to
head down hills.
You can't. Well, you shouldn't. Some people did, and then that ended up with a very sad time. So back in shoot, I don't remember the year, but it was later on the years of the Rio Grande. They were double heading the 498 and the 497, both, and they were double heading downhill. And I don't know exactly what happened. It's not quite clear from the reports I've read. But something caused the slack to run in, and the 98 or the 97, I can't remember who was on helper and who was the main engine, but the road engine basically punted the helper's tender off the track, which took the helper engine off with it, and then pretty much everything else came off after it. And that's why to this day we have 8 K37s, but only 7 of their tenders lying around, and 498 sits without its tender because 497 said bye bye, there it goes, because something happened and either they grabbed their independent too hard or the train came in too quick. Who knows what, but. Right point of the track, right thing, perfect storm. You didn't need both engines going downhill. There's no advantage to it. There it went. So it became yet another rule written in accident and or blood. So
Nick, your train order's written to get out ahead of us, and we have a similar rule, cause we 346 it coming out of here one time, and the road engine punted the helper down the gorge.
yeah, that's a bad time.
Yeah.
While you're writing train orders,
Oh my
Uh,
God. Keep him busy
train-
as a dispatcher.
yeah, train 300 and I guess extra 33 are ready to head south out of the iron mine.
All right. Stand by for train order 33. This is the
Tra-
6th train order I've written tonight.
Busy day of operations.
No kidding.
I must say, once you get the train order written up and get things underway here, I'm going to have to jump off myself. As we jokingly call her, Miss Hyce had an operation earlier this week, so she's still in recovery, and I need to go spend some time with her. But it's been good to have me on and be with you guys. This has been a lot of fun.
No, this was a ton of fun. We hope to get you on for some more at some point.
Yeah,
That's it.
anytime.
Pick a topic, any topic, and you can come and guest lecture anytime.
Oh, great. And likewise on my channel, if we got a good 101 topic that you guys would love to come on and be a guest lecturer for, Lord knows I'm going to run out pretty quick. So
Yeah, but as soon
It'd
as
be
you
great
start
to have
getting into
anyone
standard
else.
gauge Steam, I'm sure I can think of something.
perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me, guys. I'm going to jump off and
Have a
let you
good
guys
night.
carry on.
Catch you later,
Yeah.
and have fun in Colorado.
Take
Will do.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
All right, I'm gonna check these handbrakes here.
Well, that was our first guest lecturer, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
And what a guest lecturer to have. I'm so glad
Oh
that
yeah,
Hyce was able to join us. And I hope you guys enjoyed that too.
a lot of good information, and a lot of the same stuff that we've always preached, which is always nice to know that we're not crazy out there, as most railroaders are insane themselves.
I think you,
Power
as
engine,
touched on earlier, I
33
think you
right
need a
extra.
little bit of insanity, especially if you're doing this for fun. You need a little bit of that going beyond the normal to get you through the challenges that it can throw toward you.
I think you need to be a little bit crazy, cause I mean it's crazy to be like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna spend 12 hours of my time shoveling coal.
Red Wolfer asks, with the next update, would there be a feature where you can fix or rename trains to Prince? Yes, but the challenge is then once they're named Prince, you can't unname them, because otherwise then you have to name the locomotive formerly known as Prince. Come on, somebody had to recognize that. I thought that was a pretty-
I got it. We just lost 10 more viewers on your joke, but you know.
sacrifices for one's heart one must make.
Alright, get a little bit of fire in here. And we'll get out of here. And we'll see if we can take what Hyce was talking about earlier with small movements of your throttle, being gentle, and keeping the train stretched to heart. And come down the hill nice and easy.
Extra 33 to dispatch.
Yeah, 33.
Please check your latest Form 19 for the instructions section that don't apply to us.
Oh. Oh, whoops.
Did I copy the wrong?
You did.
Oh,
Yep.
I pasted the wrong one.
Yep. But it's good to know that I have twice the authority to do
Here, try that
as
one.
opposed to just one. In Michigan, there was a 3-foot gauge line.
That makes more sense.
There's a lot of 3-foot gauge lines, Red Bull for
Yeah, I'm
117.
finding there's more and more 3-foot gauges than I thought. Oh god.
Pennsylvania, people talk about Colorado as this hub of 3-foot gauges, but you know what was a hub? Pennsylvania, and not just because of the EBT, although that's certainly the crowning achievement. But you had the Tionesta Valley, the Tuscarora Valley, um, what else is? Oh, the Waynesburg and Washington Railroad. Probably some anthracite roads out east. You had the LONS. There was uh, all kinds of 3-foot in Pennsylvania. The reason people don't think about it is because I mean the Colorado stuff, a lot of it still survives. And with the Pennsylvania stuff, you have the EBT. That's kind of it. So yes, there's a lot of states with narrow gauge history that just isn't celebrated or known about.
Yeah, I think people kind of forget about anywhere that's not Colorado. I mean, I just learned of, I think Indiana and Ohio had a, I think that's it, had a pretty sizable narrow gauge system. Um, Interurban, running like hot passenger trains. A good friend was telling me about it. I'll have to see if I can find it.
Wait, a 3-foot in urban? This sounds like heaven
No,
to
not
me.
3 foot. It was also, there was electric, there was steam, there was, it lasted short.
Hmm.
It was standard gauged fairly quickly. But yeah,
Hmm.
narrow gauge is kind of more all over than I think people give it credit for.
Because a lot of them did belly flop. There, it was sort of a phase, and a lot of them did
Or they quickly
go by
standard
the wayside.
gauged once
Or that.
they, yeah. And then you have like the oddball main 2 footers,
Mm-hmm.
which go, they go missed.
Yeah, although there too, at least you have some sense of identity with them.
Mm-hmm.
With the fact that you've got the Wiscasset, Waterville, and Farmington serving as a kind of um, end pole for that.
Yes. So coming downhill, uh, Heist talked about tension, wanting to keep the train only always in tension. Coming downhill, I was always taught you want to bunch up your slack so that way you can easily and slowly stretch everything out uh, coming off the bottom of the grade. So that's what I did. I let everything bunch up, and I keep my throttle cracked. Because on the real things, you want to keep a little bit of steam going into those cylinders to keep them lubricated with the steam oil. And force of habit on the real thing is kicking open your cylinder cocks to make sure you still have a little bit of steam coming out of each side. So that's what that was all about. And just gonna little set, keep everything coming down nice and easy. As we descend the grade, back towards Plateau Yard and Hill Valley.
And then there was Hecla and Torch Lake, which was 4-foot originally, from Dark Rider ZX. That sounds familiar, but I'm not placing it.
Isn't that don't they have an engine from that at the Henry Ford
No,
Museum?
no, 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 no. That's the
That's the
Calumet.
Torch Lake.
Right. The name of the
Yeah, yep.
yeah, from the Calumet something. Forgetting that off the top of my head. Oh no 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 no! Well, kinda. So yeah, the right. So switching over to Google, I'm being reminded that it the Torch Lake, built by Mason Machine Works in 1873, hauled ore for the Calumet and Hecla Mining Company. So it was okay. So the comment was confusing, but yes,
So it is that railroad.
the actual name of it is the Calumet and Hecla Mining Company on Michigan's Keweenaw Peninsula. Keweenaw, Keweenaw? I'm not sure how that's it.
Well, if you know how to pronounce that, type that in chat so we can read it and understand how to pronounce it.
Yes. Torch Lake, awesome Mason Bogey engine, though. Another thing we get to look forward to in the future of this game is Mason Bogey engines.
Okay.
And train handling for me is I'm running extra, and I have a drawbar, and that's it.
I take it you just crossed the bridge kink.
Nope. No, I haven't gone by TBK yet.
If
I'm a
you
bit short of that.
the TBK got dropped off the new version of the map accidentally, but I was gonna say if you do want to know where everything is on the railroad, type exclamation mark map into chat and you'll get a JPEG image of the railroad and most of the location names. Most of which are written because we had an accident there, like BMAC
Mm-hmm.
Point, which we are now approaching.
And if you haven't already, we encourage you to follow us on Twitch by hitting that purple heart. We're also on Facebook under Virtual Railroader Academy, and you can like us there and get updates as to when we go live. Ordinarily, we are going live every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. We switched our schedule for this week to accommodate Mr. Hyce, but ordinarily Wednesday at 7:30 is when you catch us on Twitch, but you can always catch the replays after the fact, and Facebook is one place where you can keep up to date with that.
Yep, and if you head down to our About section and hit that Linktree button, that'll also get you to, you'll find our Facebook, you'll find our YouTube. You can even see our rulebook and timetable for the railroad. So there's a lot of good things in there to check out. And do follow us on Facebook to stay up to date, because we do put a lot of information out on there of what streams are coming up, if we're going to be streaming on an odd day, if we need to cancel a stream. So that is the source of all of our news. So definitely follow us on Facebook. So the downhill trip is nice and trundling slowly. So I feel like I have a brake on. So I'm running power down the hill.
So is your train's just headed for Plateau, right? Or are you running to Hill Valley?
I'm running all the way home to Hill Valley.
Gotcha.
Hopefully the operators of the stations along the way will be letting dispatch know when the train 301 is passing through everywhere.
Right, of course.
Now that they've all been upgraded with telephone boxes, we can certainly accommodate that.
This is going to be an interesting return trip, I have a feeling.
The main line up towards Ahsokan hasn't been hit yet.
There's one at the north end of Hill Valley Yard, and there's one at Prescott. That's it.
Those are the appropriate locations.
Well, because everywhere else got a station. You know, you got a station at Plateau. Everywhere else got a regular telegraph office, but you know, for Prescott especially, there's nowhere there to call in. So.
No, this is true. It's a
I
little.
figured the north end of the yard makes sense at Hill Valley.
No, especially since the yard has changed a whole lot in extremely recent history. But yeah, kind of spurred on by the topic in the Discord about yard design, was redesigning that yard and coming up with a new way of doing it because it wasn't functional. And now I have a much more functional yard. which is always nice. You want your railroad to be functional, and the railroad's always constantly changing, growing, improving. Yard tracks are getting ripped up, or installed, and the yards just end up counting weird. One of the short lines I worked for, we would interchange when we would interchange cars. It was a 4-track yard, and we would pick cars up off of track 12. So you tell me how that works, cause I sure as hell don't know.
Where was that? Jersey?
Yeah, on the
Was
Jersey
that
side.
in? Uh,
Without doxing me, it's hard, isn't it?
yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed
Would
that.
that be in a town that was named for a number of river crossings?
No. It's a town that has fleas.
Oh. Okay.
It was an interchange yard between the Pensy and another railroad that ran in that area.
Okay.
But yeah,
So to give you a sense of, for those of you who are new to the Virtual Railroader Academy, we welcome you. We welcome you with open arms. You can't see us, and our
my
avatars
arms are
don't
wide
open
open.
their arms, but they are very wide open. And
I
we
Scout Sap.
appreciate you tuning in and riding along with
Aw.
us for the adventure.
There go the last listeners.
Sorry, I completely missed that one.
That's okay. Keep going. Sorry, Nick.
It's all good. I feel like I should honor it because I mean it's carrying the torch, um, but yes. So we are using railroads online to explore a lot of real railroad concepts and talk to real railroaders, such as Hyce. And so, if there are things that you'd like to see, please do let us know what would interest you, what would keep you coming back for more. Uh, because we want to have fun, but we want to provide some sense of structure and lessons to our adventures here.
Yeah, throw them in chat if you're following us on Facebook. Comment on one of our. I'll put up a post on Monday. Let us know what you want to see. So comment on that and let us know what you want to learn about, and we will do our very best to make it happen. There's a lot of topics in railroading. There's a lot of topics that we've done already that we could stand back to go over again because there's just so much information out there and so much to talk about.
Very true.
So we're always open to going over new things. As we slowly descend our grade here. Coming down the coal mine branch and into the North Fork. Named after some crazy guy who likes the Norfolk and Western Railroad. Not gonna
Well,
name names.
not named after, but named
Because of.
by.
Named by
Yes.
some crazy guy who loves the Norfolk and Western Railroad.
It's kind of a requirement here in Virginia that one must. I mean, yes, there was also the CNO, but the N&W was where it was at. I can say this with full assured confidence. The CNO was nice, but the N&W was where it was at.
Hello.
Hi.
Logging camp operator, dispatch.
Yeah, go ahead, logging camp operator.
Extra 12 north arrived. Time 10:26 p.m.
Copy that. Extra 12 northbound arrived logging camp 10:26 p.m. Thank you.
Logging camp operator out.
Dispatch out.
It's been great to have such a full crew on tonight.
It is. It's. I like that we've all grown and evolved and have become comfortable with the standard code to be able to get to a point where we sound like we know what we're doing with telegraphs.
Extra 33 to train 301.
I'm not
That-
301.
301 answer right now.
No, you're
You're
301.
not
You turned around.
301.
Oh. Oh,
You're an
I'm
extra,
the
Nick.
extra 92. Yeah, so extra
Okay,
92
sorry.
answering.
I thought I was 300. I'm 301. Go for it.
Take it slow coming into plateaus is extra 33 is all over the ground.
Oh, go figure. Why?
And bring out the cups. Who's in charge of the derail counter now?
I
Can you
don't
get that
know.
number up there in the chat?
Let's see. Well, it was.
42.
It
We
was.
are not at 42.
I
I'm
would,
being silly.
I would blame this almost exclusively on trained 400's crew, who did not normal the crossover switches at the north end of Plateau Yard. When
You
they
guys
left.
came through after us.
We did not come through the crossover switches. We came down the main. I went to go into the yard, and that ended up poorly.
Actually, no. There was a yardmaster on duty in Plateau at the time.
Oh,
We are not
All right, well-
responsible.
I'll find someone to blame then.
So who is the yardmaster?
BMAC.
Huh. And he's in the other channel and can't hear us.
No. No, he
We're
cannot.
seeing four derails.
4 derails? Is that
chatter.
counting the -1 because of the re-rail?
There's a
And
question
182
mark.
says
So I
what?
think the question mark is the way of denoting a perhaps reduced count. I feel
Oh.
like it is 3.
I'm happy with that. Well, we are off the hill now, folks. We've got the throttle out, brought it out nice and easy as we were coming off the hill to kind of pick up each car individually and accelerate on out. So now we're
301,
just flying along.
301, the rec crew has worked efficiently, and you are now clear into the yard.
Now this,
You're clear.
Yes,
Oh.
I'm moving.
Sorry, you did not acknowledge.
I apologize. I am.
Did we get the? Did we get the? Trying to think through this. The reading recommendations list up and running yet?
we have
for our-
not gotten the reading recommendations list up unless we talked about it on Wednesday when we had our mini stream, the workshop on yard design. And we have a few more things to add to the list, but we have not made the proverbial list. I don't know a good way of creating it, and that's kind of the problem. Plus, doing a PDF linked on the link tree seems disingenuous. But so does clogging up the link tree with a bunch of links to books. So I'm trying to come up with a good
True.
way of making it a genuine, beautiful looking list.
It's hosted elsewhere as a web page somewhere.
Yeah, gotta make a web page.
I don't know anybody who does that.
No, not
I
a single
don't.
person.
Darn.
I wouldn't ask anyone. I wouldn't ask any of my friends who does that as a favor, cause I'm not that kind of person.
Cause why?
I like being able to pay people for making things for me, cause I like doing that.
I mean, you literally,
supporting
you
their
literally need
business.
a
Well-
HTML page that just has a list of books on
We'll
it.
yell at you off stream later.
Fine,
That too.
chat. They're gonna yell at me later. Can you believe that? Being a nice person here.
Having friends offer to do
We're-
things for you.
We're gonna make you pee in a cup later for poor decision making.
That's like the 5th time tonight I have to pee in a cup for poor decisions.
For decision making.
Better start drinking.
You know, I think the closing stream for the AM and W before move over with the splines is really going to be the railroader story night as a nice way of closing everything off.
Have somebody run the 98 and the 99, and we'll just all sit back in the coaches and
Drink, yes.
yeah, excellent.
What do you think of that, chat? Would you want to hear a bunch of railroaders get drunk and tell stories?
Just don't let Ninja Cat run, because then you'll be all.
Tis the railroader tradition
I have
of
a feeling I'm gonna be the designated locomotive
The driver?
engineer for that one.
Squiggy already volunteered for it, I think.
Oh,
we need a
well, that works
designated
too.
conductor.
okay, then I'll be designated.
The railroad tradition at the end of the year, we all get together and have a beer and celebrate a job well done. Firing, running, conducting, brakemanning. Brakemanning?
Brakemanning.
Breakmaning.
Brakemanning.
Breakmaning.
Should put that on a shirt.
I want that to be a word.
There we go.
Should,
Breakmaning.
should we. The Railroader's Dictionary? Is that a book? If
It
it's
can
not a
be.
book, can it be a book? If only I knew
It
someone who wrote
can be.
books.
Yeah, there we go again. People that actually,
Jeez.
can help do stuff.
Uh, did you have a book recommendation, Nick? Is that what you were thinking about?
I don't have a. Well, I mean, I suppose I have a new one in the form of the Auto Train book that I finished reading by Doug Riddell. I'm also
Ooh.
in the middle of Playing with Trains, which is a novel, nonfiction novel by a race car driver where he talks about model railroading. And he developed a fascination for the Colorado Midland,
Ooh.
basically a standard gauge that pretended like it was a narrow gauge.
Oh god, I've heard about that. They were crazy.
They were certified.
Keep the chat entertained, folks. I gotta step away for a minute. Nick, my train's running downhill, shortly
I'll
outside of
do
Tank Creek.
anything. Yeah, I'll do
So-
anything if I need to do anything.
Yeah. You'll see my stream. You'll be able to tell where I am. I'll be right back, everyone.
So, Red Wolfer 117 Cadillac, or not so, Cadillac Sioux Lumber
I
Company
can't close
was
it
an
down.
old log company in the 1870s. They still have an old Shan display. That's another model. Greg, you say, Greg 283, very much yes. Yes, to the drunk railroaders night. Yeah, well, that can be arranged, for sure. But if there's also any particular lesson plans or things that folks would enjoy, we are more than happy to accommodate that as well. So yes, I'm reading Playing with Trains by Sam Posey, which a Formula One race car driver develops a hobby for model railroading later in life. There's parts of it overall I like it. There's ways in which I can relate to it as a model railroader. There's ways in which I can't. Like he talks about how he hired a guy part-time to help him build his layout, and I don't think most of us model railroaders can attest to having somebody else work part-time. I struggle too. I think my main beef with it, again, acknowledging that I think it is good and I think it's well written, is that I wish there were a bit more surprises. Maybe if I wasn't already involved in model railroading, then I would be in more kind of shocked or surprised by some of the elements to the community and how model railroading is done and the different philosophies. But because I live in this world and know this stuff, I don't find myself as I'm lacking a certain degree of insight. I wish there was more insight for those kind of us in the know of like this middle ground of what do you learn by going into the world, but what do you learn by trying to explain the world to somebody who's not in it. Sam, well, maybe Sam. So Greg, maybe Sam did IMS. All I know is he was a race car driver. I, if I'm incorrect in calling him an F1 racer, then forgive me. Obviously, that is not where my passion lies. I just
What are we
know that
talking
he
about?
raced. Whereas Playing with Trains by Sam Posey, a
Oh.
race car driver whose hobby is model railroading. That's the latest book I've been reading. So I was giving my in-progress review of it thus far. But it's interesting because it was published by a major. It was published by Random House, which is a major publisher. So clearly they saw something in it. So maybe I'm not giving it enough credit as far as whatever um, insights it does offer, and I'm just too familiar with the world.
You see, the only books I'm reading right now are technical manuals. So if you want to hear about water treatment for steam engines, I have got a great read with a lot of notes in it. I can definitely give everyone a rundown on water treatment. But yeah, nothing fun like that.
Well, that's one step.
And train 401 is through Tank Creek.
301 to dispatch. Are we clear all the way back to Hill Valley?
Yeah, you're clear all the way back to Hill Valley.
Okay. Highball.
Um,
We're leaving
New
Plateau.
operating SOP is at Woods. You cross over to the second main to get to the arrival yard.
I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You're lined out on the other end. Already ran down
Sorry,
to pick
I'm
up.
lined out the other end. Okay.
Some big changes to Hill Valley Yard, which we'll talk about on a future stream. And if you go back and watch our past videos, it was a lot different looking than it is now. So go back, watch our past videos. Watch Wednesday's live stream where we talk about yard design. And then probably next week or week after, we'll be talking about the updates to Hill Valley, because they were many and more betterer, much more betterer. A good yard is a lifesaver on the railroad. You want it to be workable and help out your railroad. Right now we're traversing the river grade along the railroad, so a lot of undulating up and down. What practice out in the real world, going along this river grade, undulating or roller coaster grade, is you run your throttle as you're going uphill. You bring your throttle out more, and as you're going back downhill, which we're about to do after this bridge, I'll kick my throttle in a little bit and let my train let the momentum of my train going downhill pull the back end of my train up and over. So I'm letting my physical characteristics do the work and help maintain my speed and control me as just kind of rock and roll along. And,
Going with the flow.
exactly. And it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the stream with being nice and gentle with your throttle movements. You want to be nice and easy, so that way you're not breaking knuckles, you're not pulling links, you're not throwing shack around in the caboose.
Okay.
I'm pleased to report that I have now made it to Plateau.
Alright, Extra 92 is at Plateau.
So I'll be able to get out of your way.
Copy that. Gonna be coming in on the main and heading straight home with this. No setouts tonight.
Straight, no chaser.
Straight, no chaser. Like my whiskey.
But what are some? We always love exchanging books. So what are some books that you guys are reading? Those of you watching along at home, leave it in the Twitch chat or in the video, even if you're watching this after the fact. Got our own unofficial book club going, Literary Society.
We really have started our own book club. It's the Virtual Railroader Academy Book Club.
I mean, books are where it's at sometimes, because I think there's such a tendency to assume that all knowledge is online, but especially in railroad history, there's a great deal that's still locked up in books.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the books, I think. Um, I have a great book collection of technical manuals, history books, first-person accounts, second-person or third-person accounts. I love a nice railroad book collection.
Working on mine, I just recently got a book on the Washington and Old Dominion Railroad.
Ooh, the interurban railroad, right?
Mm-hmm.
How
Well,
did
steam
I know?
powered, then went into urban, then went diesel.
How did I know you had an interurban railroad book?
I might
Shocker.
have a few. I might have a few.
Shocker. My,
I might.
I think I've recommended this book every time. We end up talking about the Virtual Railroader Academy book club.
The Penty Engineer,
The
yes.
Pansy Engineer book. Set up running, Tales of a Pennsylvania Railroad Engineman. If you want a day in the life book about what it was like working for the Pennsylvania Railroad, or really, probably day in the life of Middle America uh, during the turn of the century. I think the book starts in 1890 and goes through 1950 and follows one guy's railroading career. It's um, first person account told from his son's perspective of his dad working for the railroad. And it is just one of the best slice of life books I've ever read that just so happens to be centered around America, or centered around the railroad. Can recommend, top of my list every time, all the time.
And if you're a fan of Railroads Online, you would probably enjoy picking up a copy of Mixed Train Daily.
Yes, which is also that's probably the top one on our list for the book club.
Because there's a whole chapter dedicated to Colorado narrow gauge.
Mm-hmm.
With plenty of photos.
It's a one thing that setup running doesn't have. It doesn't have a lot of pictures. It's almost entirely words. There's a couple of photos in the center of the main of the I was gonna say the main character, though he's not a character.
Well, kind of is in the context.
He kind of is. Um, it's an excellent book, and it's just a couple of photos of him in the middle with like H6s. Um, it's excellent book. I can recommend. The Cincinnati, Lebanon, and Northern Railway. That's the one I was thinking of in Ohio. That's the. Thank you for throwing that in the chat there. That's the railroad I was thinking of, and nice to know it's a book. I'll definitely have to look for it.
It's always disappointing when I fall in love with a railroad. It's like, wait, somebody hasn't written a book about this yet?
Well, that was weird.
Yes.
I don't know how that happened. We should be back. Everyone can
Parts
see us again.
2!
You will have to line the switch at the south end of Plateau Yard.
Copy that.
It's currently lined for the siding. I believe everything else is lined for
I'll
you.
get it.
Train 99 to dispatch.
Yeah, go ahead, 99.
After 84 years, we have returned to Mohonk.
Copy
There
that.
was a
99 has arrived at Mohonk.
Excellent.
that was so elegantly stated. After 84 years. I felt like I was going into a book there for a moment.
That absolutely reminds me of talking with Dave Conrad, because that's just how he talks. Lad, after such and such, it's like, oh, okay. Great guy to work for.
Your
Let's
switch
see.
at the south end is lined.
Copy that switch at the south end, lined and locked for the main. Let's see. Greg 283. I'm not reading anything at the moment, but plan on picking up a copy of 40 Bridges and 40 Miles. I haven't heard of that one.
This sounds like something narrow gauge related. I
It
feel
does
like I've
sound
heard
narrow
of
gauge
such a
related.
thing.
Train 99 to dispatch.
Yeah, go ahead, 99.
Should we go ahead and button up the train for now, or do you want us to do any switching?
Yeah, deliver your cars. And we keep the once you get your freight cars dropped over, we do keep the passenger cars tacked on top of them because that is a through line now.
Okay.
So just keep the passenger cars just south of the siding.
Sounds good. Will do.
It was quite the busy night on the AM and W tonight. It was I think that's the most train orders I've ever written in a session in a long time.
Gives you the
And
sense that this is a bustling railroad, which is the
it
whole
does.
intention.
And we are a bustling railroad. We do move a lot of trains. Hence the reason to have to double head. And I may have pulled a Casey.
Oh, oh. Take a drink.
And drink. I'm drinking water tonight to stay hydrated. Yeah, the fire may have gone out, so we're just gonna coast along here for a bit. I'm a bad fireman for letting my fire go out. Shocks your sheets, and that's how you break a bunch of staples. Is by thermal shocking the boiler. It's called sawtooth firing. You let it get the fire really hot. You get the pressure all the way up there, and then you let it, and then you got it too hot, so you let it cool down. But then you let it cool down too much, so you need to get it really hot again. You just go high, low, high, low, high, low, and you damage a bunch of staples that way. So we try not to do that. Keyword is try. All right, that pressure's
But we
coming back up.
succeed because, as we know here on the AM and W, we are fueled eternally by optimism.
And we are on the optimism cutoff right now,
How fitting.
right?
Man, this engine really needed refueled. I've cleared out half of the wood at Pleasant Valley by refueling the Winnipesaukee here.
Well, it's that's the next firewood depot due to get restocked.
The one for the Lionel experience to get restocked as well.
It's fine.
There's an empty corporate car sitting there waiting for wood.
Anyway, I've refilled it enough now. I'm just gonna tuck it away and then I'll rejoin you in a moment.
All right. I got pressure up, so I am heading out along the optimism cutoff. Short, not too far away from the double dev bridges.
I half expected you to call them the deviled eggs bridges.
I got a little close there for a second. Just in the tongue twister of double dev bridge.
That's it. It's Deviled Eggs Bridge now.
Oh,
Yeah,
come
it is kind
on.
of
Oh, that's
deviled eggs bridge.
Yeah, that's what we're all gonna call it. So you might as well just name it that.
all
Yeah,
right. Fine.
That's
We're
how most
approaching.
railroad points got their names.
Sure.
Pretty much. We're approaching the deviled eggs bridge. Now I'm not going to be able to say that.
No, you can't say that one.
And then it'll immediately revert back to what it was.
Hey, left, can you right up ahead of us and get the crossover?
Sure.
We need to cross over onto main 2.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still reeling from. Yeah.
You're welcome. So yeah, second switch there, and then
The switch for the woods branch is it on the other side of the crossover. Stays for the crossover now. So it's just the one switch from main 1 to main 2 you need to get instead of both.
okay. So we lined. Well, we just had to line both of them, and then we only have to line one of them back.
Correct.
Okay.
That means
this
the
one,
train up at the woods
No,
branch.
the other one needs to get lined back.
It means the train up at
Okay.
the woods branch did not get it.
Okay.
And careful, because there is a train out on the woods branch, and the operator has not been the operator at the sawmill logging
Engineer.
camp Y has not notified the dispatcher yet of the passing of 12 of extra 12 south.
Okay.
And here it is, the deviled eggs bridge.
What's tasty?
Yum, right?
Hmm.
Wow.
It's a. At this point of the night, we're just flying along. If anyone has any questions about double heading or what we talked about, drop them there in the chat. Happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge, or pass them along to Hyce and get back to you with a answer next time. But
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah, we will be. I believe tests are going to be going out on his Discord from tonight. And if you take the test and submit it, you get some kind of merch.
Ooh.
Diploma. Get a diploma. Why not? Promising things on I don't think I can deliver on. I also don't have a test ready, so there's that too.
At some point, we will
Yep.
be getting the test because we keep saying we're going to do good tests. So I think
We keep saying we're going to do a test. Evening, a wrap-up exam, a Quizlet, if you will, playing into the academy theme. Yeah, I've heard professors at my day job talk about that. And they give their students Quizlets. I think they just mean a quiz, but they call it something cute.
makes it less scary that way.
I was just gonna say it's
yeah.
something, non-threatening.
A Quizlet does sound non-threatening. But if you would like to take a Virtual Railroader Academy Quizlet, let us know in chat, and we'll actually come up with something.
Hmm.
And maybe there will be some kind of a merch or a stream role associated with it. We'll have to figure something out on the back end, but it could become a fun thing. You get like a badge or like an emoji or something. I don't know. We'll come up with something. But if you do think funny little quizzes at the end would be something you'd want to do, let us know. We'll try and find a way to make it happen.
Oh my gosh, Rudy, you really did over-engineer this smelter. Like, what are all these buildings and bridges and things?
So this the first time you've been down there in a while?
Yes, I'm usually not taking this particular shortcut.
Do you want 301 on any particular rival track?
Yeah, 301 is coming in on a rival. Four. Counting in from the outside.
Darn it. Now I'm not sure if I
Okay.
threw. Just a fair warning to whoever's next going through plateau. I'm not sure if I threw the switch back um, to the main from the engine beds.
Well, yard limits approaching stop within half your range of vision.
So, and I'm too close to train 90 to
Oh,
change
Hill Valley.
trajectory.
Hill
yellow.
Valley to dispatch.
Hello.
Extra,
Go ahead.
extra 12 south arrived. Time now.
Extra 12 arrived at Hill Valley. Time now. What track you come in on?
Just passing the yard board.
All right,
He
copy
must
that.
just followed us in. Marker Boots is like just behind the yard board.
Well, there we go. And what the hell?
You hear Pratt's cut?
Yeah. Oh my god. It's a telephone booth.
Mm-hmm.
What is this, an aquifer up here?
That's the cable routing for the telephone lines.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jehovah. What am I even looking at?
It's a
Like-
telephone booth.
Yeah, I see that. What's all the...
And a bridge.
It's the cable comes up and across that for the telegraph.
It's Rudy.
I know it is.
I feel like every time we stream and go by, there's something new constructed line side on the railroad that makes it feel railroady. Though that's that's the cool part of this is the stuff that's not just trees. It's the line side elements. That's what makes a railroad a railroad.
Can you knock a handbrake on the caboose, please, Liv? Where do you want 36 put away here in the yard?
Can 36 go into an empty engine house track? I hear
the
a Heisler, yeah.
Engine house
In
farm?
engine house world, yeah.
Okay.
I hear a Heisler whistle, and I'm slightly concerned. They're stopped. I'm not concerned anymore. Well, as we are on our final approach into Hill Valley, that unfortunately means we are coming to an end of our stream. We're we're approaching, so drop
Yeah.
those last minute questions in. We are approaching map, but we are also approaching Hill Valley. So drop those
We are-
questions in. Last minutes. If you're watching on YouTube, you can put those questions in at any time, or any of your comments in at any time, and we'll get back to you on them.
You could say that this is an advanced approach.
This is an advanced approach.
Wow.
I wasn't sure how else to approach it.
I will note, by the
And
way,
there
that
go 10 more followers.
the Lionel experience is still very slowly crawling around this track here.
Nick, can you run ahead through the woods and line the woods branch switches for us to cross over to track 2?
Certainly. I'll take the road.
The high road or the low road?
The non-railroad.
He didn't
The
get
road
it,
road.
guys.
No, I got it.
Oh,
I
okay.
got it.
You're just
You'll
ignoring
talk
it.
the high road and I'll talk the low and I'll be in Scotland before you. I gotcha.
Of note, the Lionel experience is completely out of firewood and therefore will not continue to run until said firewood is replenished.
Switches are lined for the main.
For main number 2?
Oh, as opposed to the regular main. Okay, I'll cross those over.
Yep, new SOP with how the new yard's
Ah,
laid out. You need to cross over
got.
here now.
Where did extra 12 go? Because I haven't seen it yet, and I know it's up here somewhere.
I've heard its whistle, so I'm a little concerned about it.
Yeah.
It's a
They were
Oh.
ghost
coming back
train
into
now.
Hill Valley.
No,
but
they
I
had
don't
to
know where the
go.
hell
They had to go
went.
deliver firewood.
Oh, so they're over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's your.
Yes, we'll have an intern deliver the firewood right after they get us our
Yeah,
coffees.
we're hiring interns to just do firewood deliveries on the railroad. If you're interested, please submit your application on our link tree. Go to
I
the
put-
application page.
What track are you guys coming in on? 401.
401 is coming in on track 1.
Track 1. Let me line you up for that. And then I have to wait for you guys to get in so I can cross over with 36.
Or you can go out the north end of the yard. Or out the south end of the yard.
There are no available tracks on that side, I don't think.
You can get
Okay.
over to the. You can go out the south end and cross over to
Freight house track.
the freight
there, huh?
house.
Does,
Either side.
does the
Wait for
do
you
these
guys.
switches need to be normaled?
So just the one that connects the main and main 2 back to each other.
Okay.
The one the caboose is going over now, the one the rest of the
Mhm.
train's going over, stays lined. That's now
Okay.
the new normal.
Okay.
And
The
it,
new normal. Oh,
um,
sorry. Stop.
big hole.
P cup.
You know, Hyce is known for derailing. He comes on one time and we have our most ever derailments in stream. I don't think this is a coincidence.
We'll blame it on in that direction of things. Shove back half a car, please.
You guys
Coming
put
back
that back
half a
together.
car.
I'm gonna make my move here. We'll leave
Not
everything
gonna
lined
be
for you
that
guys to come
long.
in.
Oh, I did the handbrake on the tender to stop.
Truck
Truck.
and hold on. Nope. Keep coming. Cause
Ooh.
punch the caboose. So another truck.
Another truck. Did I get it?
Nope. Keep coming.
I was really
Another
hoping the
truck.
slack would roll out and grab it.
Okay, we're good. Pins in. Good to
Pins
pull
in,
ahead.
ahead.
Alright, and I am in the clear, so you guys can do what you gotta do.
Alright, copy that.
You're lined
Engine
up.
36?
36.
Engine 36 in the clear.
Mhm.
Train 401 lined into Hill Valley. We're coming home.
I am precariously parked on this little stretcher track between you guys and number 12 switching moves, but I'm out of the way, so.
Precariously parked and out of the way is the correct way.
Mhm.
And I can see your, I can see the other, telephone booth up ahead.
Oh no.
Yeah, I like it. And we are approaching yard limits, so get us up to speed and ease her off. Let her come in nice and easy.
I needed
Costs.
to
Once we're inside yard limits, what does that mean, everyone? In the chat, type your answer. Yard limits means
panic.
most of the time, yes.
Means the yard master gets to have fun.
It means we're moving at restricted speed. We're stopping in 1/2 our range of vision.
Yeah, I needed a landmark to tell train 300 to pull up to before, so I built a landmark.
You know, I like the landmark. I think it works. I'm curious to get feedback from the yard crew on how Hill Valley's functioning now. Because already this seems more functional. The yard job isn't tied up because a train's coming in.
Yep, they're doing this. They're making the switching moves. The only thing that's tied up right now is 36 crossing over, and that's because they're switching on that track. So,
But yet that still doesn't tie up the main because there's the second main and the universal crossover here.
well, I'm tying up one of the mains at the moment.
No, but there's the
Yeah, that's
connection
true.
between the two, so we can
Mhm.
get around you. It's a much more functional
That's true.
yard. And I really like it.
Oh, what is this?
It's another telephone booth.
Oh, I see. Okay. That I could do.
I do see the track you are precariously parked on.
Mhm.
That is quite precarious.
Mhm.
Hmm. That's a cute booth.
That is.
All this activity happening around the yard. It's
It's
exciting.
I'm excited for the swine update to come out when we can have this much going on all the time, and it looks great the whole time
Right.
as the key feature there.
So that is one thing lacking right now because my engine looks like it's doing jumping jacks as we go through crossovers. So.
It's okay. My
Yeah.
FPS is at like 12, which Stream has reminded me about a bunch of times.
Hmm.
Thanks, guys.
Keeping us honest.
Yes.
They're academic not I'm trying to think of the phrase. Academic reviews.
Yes. Higgs boson. Yes. More FPS better. More trains better. Just all more better.
Mhm.
Oh wow, there's no edge. Oh yeah, dude, it really did get a makeover.
Yep. So we'll talk about Wednesday. We'll talk about it. So if you come watch Wednesday's stream, 7:30 Eastern, we will talk about all of the changes to Hill Valley Yard. Recommended reading before that lecture will be the previous stream on the what you call it, the yards, their
Which?
uses and design.
Yes.
That is the recommended reading before next Wednesday's stream, because we will talk about the updates to here. They're big updates. They're great updates. I love them.
Tails in the clear when.
Yep, I'm trying to power break.
Oh, the final question of any stream. How does the power breaking go?
Well,
Is
yeah,
that a caboose track or is that just another passenger train?
no, it's a caboose track.
Oh, cool. We have a caboose track now.
We had a
Sweet.
caboose track before. It just wasn't very usable.
And
It's
I never used it. Oh, right. It was next to the freight depot. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember. Okay.
That's still there, but it's become more of a runaround.
Good use for it.
All right, we're here. You want to tie on a handbrake back there?
I just did on the caboose.
All right. Well, we're back.
If
We made it. We learned a lot
managed-
about double heading tonight and a little bit about train handling from our guest lecturer, Hyce, who sadly had to leave us already. But for understandable reasons, we'll forgive him. And we're happy to have him on anytime he wants about any topic he wants. Or if he doesn't have a topic and just wants to come run trains and not talk about railroads online, we will also have him for that.
And we appreciate having you along here on Railroaders Play Railroads Online on the Virtual Railroader Academy, and encourage you to follow us on Twitch. Go to the link tree to see what other social medias you can keep track of us at. And thank you for joining us for today's seminar.
Yes, thank you. If you hit follow during the course of today, thank you so much. We really appreciate all of those follows. Definitely follow us on Facebook to get all of our weekly updates. We're posting at least 3 times a week about various things going on with our streams and our YouTube page. So check us out on there. From the Virtual Railroader Academy, I'm Professor Casey,
And I'm Professor Nick.
and thank you so much for watching. Good night.
Bye bye.